Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sydney Dragway, Race for Real, presented by Aeroflow Performance. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. Thanks for coming down to the track. Tonight is SUV theme night, so if you've got an SUV type vehicle, you can actually race your car for only $40, Stewie.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sydney Dragway, the Pocket Rocket, just filling up here in the box for the moment until the Bushman makes his way up here in the commentary, and then I'll be downstairs interviewing some of the drivers, Pat, and finding a little bit about their cars.
Getting all the inside goss, mate.
Absolutely. Now, it is SUV night, and look, just about every household in Australia probably has got an SUV. Not saying that everyone does, but majority have probably got SUVs.
Close to it.
So, you know, if I want to see, I was having a good feeling about tonight because I want to see the Mazda CX-5 smash the Toyota RAV4 hybrids. That's a given.
I can see that the allegiance is coming out against you.
Oh, absolutely.
No secrets, you're a Mazda man.
I am a Mazda man, yes. But having said that, you know, there's all different styles of SUVs because you can have a big Toyota Hiace or Hilux.
Yep.
You know,
there's all those, all of those different types. But because the SUV is so popular now, mate, it means that manufacturers have taken that on board and they've developed performance models.
They have.
You know, we've got a car that's waiting to run downstairs just under the tunnel there. I believe it's a BMW X4M. Mr. Sau, I think he's been here a couple of times.
Yep.
You know, that's a 6-cylinder twin turbo. I think it's twin turbo, 280-something kilowatts. Like, that's a quick car in its own right. And then you've got all of the aftermarket support that's going to follow it. And that's the same across most of the models now, you know. So whether it's a traditional a Toyota or Mitsubishi or whatever it might be, or, you know, one of these Euros that's, you know, got these crazy high-tech power plants in them, they're actually turning out some big horsepower. So while I think, you know, it's not exactly what everyone expects to see on the drag strip here, there's still a lot of potential. Still a lot of potential.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people around Sydney too. They've got the Hyundai Kona Ns.
Yes.
And I know that Cherry Tuning up in Hornsby, who specialise in Kia, Hyundai and Genesis, they do a fair bit of work on Konas as well as the i30N flotilla that they've got. So, you know, those guys are chipping away at some of the performance aspects of those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And not shy of a crackle tune, I think. If love it or hate it, there's plenty of those. I think the N line is the new Golf on the street. So we're just about to get started here. We had a couple of visits from Skippy and Skippy Jr. down at the big end of the track. That is common here at Sydney Dragway. So being so close to the reservoir, they do like to pop their heads down, have a quick look, see what's making all the noise and running at good times. But here we go, the BMW X4M coming up in the Aeroflow lane, and a Sydney Dragway familiar, Dave Muscat in the Mini, out here fine-tuning and getting right on the light. He'll be chasing the reaction time all night. Strong launch from the X4M. Mr. Sau is on his way. That is about to run. That is an 11.13 at 125 miles per hour. Not your average family SUV, folks, I think you'll find on that one. So hopefully we're going to see plenty more sleepers out there that are going to take a few people by surprise and just something different going down the track. So, and I'd like to welcome in the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Bush.
Thank you very much, Pat. Great to be here as always. Sorry I'm late as always.
No problem at all, mate.
The last 15 minutes at work just seems to disappear, and then you're like, oh crap, I've got to get there. Lucky I don't work too far away. So
lucky the Pocket Rocket was here ready to step in, no problem.
I think we'll see a few quick SUVs out there tonight. We know that these modern cars certainly do perform and do run very well. Not only the smaller cube turbo stuff, there's also the SRT.
Plenty of the Jeeps, the SRTs.
We see them into the low 10-second zone sometime, and you know, sometimes, and they're certainly a very quick SUV. But we also see the odd. It doesn't have to be a fast car. You can come out here in a you know, almost like a standard four-wheel drive.
I think just shortly, I mean, we're just about to watch a Scorpion versus a Capri. It's pretty rare. A lot of people probably don't know what a Scorpion is, but it was kind of a two-door Sigma.
Yes.
So under the Chrysler, so that's Mitsubishi sort of banner back in the I might get it wrong time frame, late 70s, early 80s, I think, from memory. But strangely enough, a bit of a cult following there. So that'll be interesting. But I think speaking of something a bit odd that might not be, the absolute sleeper, could be the ramp truck that I think I saw come through the tunnel down there. So, with all due respect to the gentleman, he's going to come and have a great time. Probably not going to set the timing boards on fire, though.
No, what do you reckon? Just have a stab in the dark. He has raced it before, but I couldn't guess.
I definitely haven't seen it, and I don't know anything about the drivetrain in it. But just based on what it looks like, I'm going to say probably a mid-20s.
Okay, I'm going to say 27.
27. All right. So
All right.
yeah.
Keep,
well, I'm going
in
to
mind.
let's give a figure.
Yeah, 27. Yeah.
27. I'm going to say 25.
25. Okay,
I'm hoping he's got like a pretty warm 351 under it or something like that. Scorpion off for a red light, unfortunately. Too eager to get out of the hole there, but it's going to move on down. I believe these guys came in at the same time. I think they're probably a bit of friendly rivalry on some fairly standard cars. Scorpion crossing for a 16.6 at 82 miles per hour, with the Capri at 17.3 at 79.
Yeah, not too bad. The little Capri did all right. Little 1600, I'm guessing, in that.
That's right. There's, it's easy for us to just assume that it's got a small block Chevy or a, late model Windsor in it, because that's what we always see in Capris out here. But
maybe one of the few that doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. They, for those playing at home, they did not come with a stroker engine in them, or generally from the factory. So
they had the little 1600 or a Pinto.
The Pinto, that's correct.
Cam. Yes,
Bench,
that's exactly right.
Believe it or not, they didn't come with a blown alcohol injected LS engine from the factory.
If only they did.
Yeah, that would be great. Imagine how much further forward we'd be in life if cars came with that from the factory. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. I think there'd be a few more issues for the highway patrol and the people that are involved in crash recovery, unfortunately.
Well, competition is good for business, mate. So highway patrol can't catch the blown injected Capri, so they've got to get a blown injected, highway patrol car. So it's all, it's all the best for everyone. So screw the boost up, they'll be fine.
Yeah, smaller pulley. Yeah, as you say, Ben. Yeah. Page up.
Page up. Off we go. Ford Territory pulling up to the line, another SUV entrant. Only $40 for theme night eligible vehicles to race the car when you book online. It's a great deal, really.
It's certainly a cheap night out, really.
That is a cheap night out. Yeah. Like we said it last week, Bushy. Going out in Sydney is you just might as well throw a couple of 50s out of the wallet as soon as you open the door.
Yes.
So to be able to get down here, $40. Come and have some fun, and you've still got some change for for coffee and donuts,
which are smelling absolutely delightful up here.
The donuts are
testing my willpower right now.
I mean, the name of that shop is spot on, isn't it? Go nuts for donuts.
Yes,
that's about as accurate as you can get.
All right, so the Falcon got there first at 12.95 with a 2, and the Territory in the other lane at 15.83 with a 2. 88 mile an hour for the Territory, 115 for the Falcon.
And here comes our oddball of the night, the ramp truck.
Okay, taking on the Ford Bronco, I think.
Bronco, yep, absolutely.
Don't see many of these on the road anymore.
Don't mention the juice. We will see. What's happening. That ramp truck's got it's got a bit of attitude.
Not a bad light.
Yeah,
369. I think this race. As I said, I have seen this car before, but I failed to remember who it is.
I've got a feeling we've grossly underestimated the potential time of this vehicle.
It looks like we have.
That is an 1859 with a 7 at 71
and you
miles per hour.
You were much closer.
Still a long way off. That's no good. Versus an 1855 for the Bronco. That was actually a really good race.
It was about half a second in it, but there was a fair bit in the reaction time difference. The ramp truck got away not too badly with a 369 light.
Absolutely, they were both on light.
But, I think my the first time we had this Guess an ET challenge, I was off by 1,000. So it's gone downhill from there.
Wow, you set a high benchmark for yourself.
The
only way to go from there is down, really. You gave the commentator's equivalent of a 001 cherry.
Yes.
On the tree, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So not quite sure. I think we might have a few more of our furry friends down there.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm guessing that's why we.
I've got a feeling I didn't see any issues with the cars going down, so I'm thinking there may be some wildlife. Is that some wildlife just around the 660 mark, the half track?
I can't see that.
Yep, there they are. Yep. Yeah, great vantage point, Skippy and Skippy Jr. Half track is where you really see the power start to come in. So can't blame them for wanting to have a look there. But
it's only half a head turn each way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So they don't have to do. Yeah, kangaroo's not exactly quick at changing direction. So if all they can do is turn the head, it's nice and easy. Good to see. I'll be expecting to tune into Jet 6 Images on Facebook. Danny is down there getting a couple of shots of the pitch invaders, as they were. Really appreciate any of the media guys that come out and volunteer their time to capture great images of your car and ours racing down the track.
Yes, and of course a lot of them do normally offer those images for sale too. So if you do,
absolutely,
if you do see a commentator around and you want some photos, I mean, we've both raced and we both know that when you're racing, you very rarely see anything.
That's right.
Other than the few cars in front of you or the few cars behind you. So my father and I used to buy it back in the day. You actually got the hard copy of the print from Lee Davis from Western Auto Pits.
There you go.
One of our hardworking officials here.
Yes.
So that was something that he did as a bit of a side gig, and we supported him where we could. And
even if you're not racing, just if you're driving your car around, you never get to see what it looks like driving past.
Yes.
And you don't always want to. I don't know what you're like, Steve, but I don't really want anyone else to drive my car just so I can see what it looks like.
Yeah,
so, to be able to get a professional photographer to grab a great snap of your car in action or bike once the bike's rolling again, will I think it's awesome. Like Sydney Dragway social media team have been doing a great job posting up the photographers and tagging their business pages. So keep tuned in to the socials. You might see a snap of your car, and if you want something that's high res or full size or something special done with it, just get in touch with those guys, and they'll be more than happy to oblige. And for a reasonable fee, they'll make your wishes happen.
Exactly right, and of course, with the modern technology, you don't need the hard copy anymore. You can take your file to the Harvey Norman or wherever you choose to get the image printed onto whatever it might be that you want to get it printed on, whether it be a mug, a poster, or
it can be just a really good quality edit for the background of your phone.
Yes.
Even that's we've all got these things.
Is your car your background?
Well, I have to check. Is it still? Yeah, my wife and daughter are probably ashamed to know that to know that my car doing a power skid is the background on my phone.
No, I'm not that advanced. I've just got the standard.
Yeah. Advanced, self-absorbed. You choose whichever way you want to look at it, Bushy.
Correct. That's all right.
No, it's not a photo of me. Definitely not. No, I'm not that. No. The world doesn't deserve that, Benji. All right, VSS versus a VY or VZ? VY, I think. SS down there. Bit of Holden action.
T1 and T2.
T1 and T2. They are keen. They're early birds.
First.
Yeah, not bad.
And second.
First and second car through the gate. You're right, Benji. That's got to love to get a bit of passion out there. People are keen for it.
I was going to say the car in the Aeroflow Lane stage, very, very shallow. 0.68 on the tree.
That is, it's probably lucky it was a shallow stage, to be honest. With a reaction time like that, could have been another round. 12.66 with a 9 at 115 versus a 15.0 at 91 for that race. Now, this should be a little bit interesting, this race here. Coming up in the Aeroflow Lane is a Mustang, late model Mustang, S550, I believe. And we've got Ariel from Area 51 is out as usual in the Caprice, which is a nitrous-assisted car. Now, I was speaking to the owner and driver of the Mustang downstairs. Yes. This car looks relatively standard on the outside, but it does have two little spinny things attached to the side of the motor down near the gearbox. So it is a low-mount twin-turbo setup, installed and tuned by Precision Racing.
Okay, nice.
So it's just recently had had a fuel system upgrade. It's got some nice weld wheels on the back with some Mickey Thompson ET Street SS tyres. 10-speed auto on board, so looking to see a reasonable time. I believe it has dipped into the 10s previously before the fuel system upgrade. So,
okay, so we'll wait and see what's going to happen. 025 light for the Caprice in the rocket lane.
Unfortunately, it looks like a little bit of limiter tapping there with the Mustang, but it's certainly making a bit of power when it is underway.
Yeah, pretty close in the ET and the speed. Not too much difference there, but maybe the driver of the Mustang just sorting a few things. He was hitting the limiter there for a bit. We could hear on the track mics, but
yep.
You know.
I think a little bit of first run nerves. You know,
definitely.
It's been a little while since it's been out, and you know the gentleman was trying to stress that you know he's not in any rush to break any records tonight, so he's going to feel his way around the car and get out. It's now, Benji. It's all right. It's a Ford. It's very fast. Ford still exists, remember? So.
See, I love the way you can switch. I know you're a Holden guy because you've spent all your money on the Holden, right?
Yep.
But you can also still back a Ford, not like my mate Mark, who if it doesn't. The Mazda getting way out of shape.
That was a pretty wild. That was a pretty wild ride at the Mazda. Yeah, Mark somewhere just grinding his teeth. That there's. That's right. Yeah. Speaking of Holdens, we should also just quickly mention that little gold LJ Tirana that went down the track there at a 1462 at 100 miles per hour is fitted with the Iron Lion, a 304 EFI motor.
Yeah, wow.
So great looking little sleeper that would be, I mean, what a perfect cruiser.
Yes.
You know, reliability, EFI, great, good V8 sound, still Holden product, so, you know, like for like with the Badgers.
Yes.
And, you know, a little bit more grunt than perhaps the 6-cylinder that was come with.
You'd want to if you've gone to all the effort of doing the conversion, you want to move forward in that direction.
Yeah. You would hope so. Yeah. But nothing out of the ordinary. I saw it idle around in the staging lanes, and it's not. You know, it doesn't have too cranky a sound, but you know that there's a little. There's definitely 8 pots popping away under that bonnet.
I have a feeling I spoke to him very briefly at a Sunday street meet.
Yep.
If it's the same car.
Okay.
Nice guy. Came out and did like 5 or 6 passes, and I think by that time he'd had his fill for the afternoon and went
That's
home.
fair enough.
But certainly it's good to see. 028 on the tree for the car in the Aeroflow lane. Yeah,
VY Malou there, getting off down to a 13:38 105. Great reaction time.
And the Ranger, an 18.98 Pat at 71 mile an hour. So not a bad speed.
That is not bad for a dual cab ute.
For the ET, not a bad speed.
Yep.
And so we've got Joe Sorbello and Ross Bilby about to do their first pass of the night.
Definitely bring a bit of volume to the track this evening, both Joe and Ross.
Very much so. Of course, the supercharged LS under the bonnet in the Skyline. And the 347
Windsor,
Windsor under the bonnet of the Cortina. Well, there's more of it out of the bonnet than there is of Joe's car. There's the big reverse cowl scoop, and the air cleaner are definitely outside the bonnet.
Yeah, making its intentions known. For
Correct.
Sure. Ooh, very rare red light from Joe Sorbello tonight, but an 022 reaction time for Ross Bilby, off to a 969 at 138 miles per hour. Definitely track championships and previous testing has seemed to have sorted that car out. Bushy, I think, from the dramas that he had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, which is good to see. It's always, because he's chased it for quite some time. What do we got down here, Pat? Little KE55 Corolla,
I think so.
It is, and an RX2.
Yeah, definitely one of the KEs for sure. I always pick it wrong, whether it's a 30 or a 55.
I think it's a 55. But my brother had, or both my brothers actually had that same shape.
You're definitely better qualified than I am, Steve. So I'll take your word for it.
I won't tell you what we had. One of them as a spare car, a coupe, and I'm not going to say what we did to it because
There'll be
it's probably a lot of hate on the.
There'll be some enthusiasts crying, perhaps.
Yes, but we didn't know then that they would be so rare. You see.
Yep, that's a common pitfall.
Yes, my brother had a wagon. We put a back in the day half cut 180 SX C18 DET in it.
Okay.
5-speed, the whole lot, but good little car.
Not definitely some improved performance down there in that
Yeah.
Corolla,
Yes.
running through for a 1299 at 125 miles per hour is probably the big giveaway that there's a bit of boosted action happening underneath there. All right. So coming up with, I think, was that a Colorado or a Rodeo in the Aeroflow lane? Potentially. Some form of ute versus a VE by the looks of things.
Wrapped VE V6.
That's the problem with VE versus VF in the utes. You can't tell the difference from the back. They didn't change the tail lights. Like I know you're not quite as up with it, but it's really hard to tell from the back here. So if you're seeing the front of that car and you're going, no, it's a VF, not a VE. Can't believe you guys can't pick it. I was one of those people at one point. I used to say that as well when I was watching the live stream. But trust me, once you get up here, it's actually a bit difficult.
It gets even harder for me as it gets darker. But
Yeah.
anyway, all right. So that wasn't too bad a race. Whatever was in the Aeroflow lane. A
1638.
1638. It's not too bad out of a work ute.
Definitely.
And a
Maybe it
1510 for the Commodore ute.
Maybe it was the alloy tray, mate, shedding a bit of weight as opposed to the
yeah, but he had the sides up, so maybe if he goes back to the pits and rips the sides off, he'll lose a little bit of the.
That's a
air
debate
restriction.
that's going to happen online, I think. Is it faster sides up, sides down? It's definitely people with the style side utes, like the Commodore ute that we drove. Some people want to run with the tailgate down. Some people want to run with the tailgate up.
I believe it would have to catch the air. It'd have to.
Yeah, I think.
But that's
You're right, Benji. Yep, it creates a little vortex of air in the tub, which creates a bit of a bubble. That means that the air going over the roof doesn't dip down into the back. It carries all the way over the back of the tray.
Is that so?
That's
Really?
extremely nerdy. Bit of information for you there, but
Nothing wrong with being nerdy when it's important.
Believe it or
Factual
not.
information.
To be fair, Mythbusters didn't use a Falcon or a Commodore Ute, so we can't directly relate those results. I'm pretty sure it was some sort of. Yeah,
Actually,
I think it was an F Series or something
now
like that.
Now that you say that, I do remember that. I do remember that one. Although Mythbusters has not been on TV for
It hasn't
quite
been.
some time.
Yeah, thanks. Making me feel old again, Bushy. That's
I think I'm older than you. Just.
Well, fellas, must be a bit of a night for the Bridgeports tonight because here's another little Rotary coming out now. 13B Bridgeport.
13B Bridgeport. Is that in that little 70 series Corolla?
I think it is. I'll tell you what, it's still the original interior too.
Beautiful. Looks like a KE70. It's got some. It's got a bit of Mexi flush action happening on the front wheels with a bit of stance. Low ride height and very cranky exhaust note. So, look, see, Bushy, that ute is a VF. Look at the front end. I was wrong. It dudded me.
You know, for next time.
All right, 0.83 reaction time for the Scorpion. Out to a 2.5. The Rotary Corolla definitely struggling with traction off the line there, but.
I did see some pretty big sparks come out of that too. So
Yeah, okay, all right. So could be some things to work on there. So 1687 at 81.55 miles per hour for the Scorpion in the Aeroflow lane versus 1738 at 84 miles per hour for the Corolla in the Rocket lane.
all right, our Capri back again in the Rocket lane. You're in what was it, 17.3 or something like that on the last pass.
I think so. Yep. And then
Taking on the Falcon in the Aeroflow lane.
was it? Oh, okay. We've got some info from the stream. Yeah. What was it? There you go. The old Mythbusters show is being replayed on the ABC soon.
Okay.
Great viewing. Not as good, though, as Sydney Dragway's live stream. Just had to put that out there.
Well, you can split screen it.
Oh, yeah, sure. You can, you can.
Just
you
have
can,
the volume on Pat and I, though. That's all we ask
yeah,
you. At least listen to us.
What else would you want to listen to, Bushy? Really? All right. So small improvement from the Capri by the looks of things. Was she 714 at 77.98?
Yeah, getting a little bit more aggressive.
Yep. And not a bad pass for the NA XR6 Barra in the Aeroflow lane as well. 14.6 is a pretty decent time. Stewie, if you can hear me, what's that car in the left lane, mate? I don't quite recognise it. Is it BMW or is it a late model Kia?
That's actually an Infinity.
Oh, an Infinity. Wrong on both accounts. Well done, Pat.
Strike two.
Strike two. Wow. So
Now, you don't see a lot of the Infinities around these days. They're quite big back in the day, particularly in sport compact drag racing. But it's good to see more stock standard one make its way out here to Aeroflow Race for real, although the BL is doing the chasing. Sounded great in the burnout from down here on the start line and does his thing in 11.76 at 1:21.
can't go wrong with a tidy VL, Stu.
It was very tight. And we've got a young lady, first timer coming out now in her Ford territory. About to take on Wild 4 leader.
Bit of Barra on Barra crime happening down here. I've got a feeling the Wild 4 leader might have a little bit of a hairdryer attached to the side of it.
I could hear it, just hear it spooling up in the burnout there.
Yeah, Infinity. Definitely don't see too many of those. Too many of those on the roads here, because only recently, I want to say maybe in the last 5 years, I think the parent company Nissan actually reintroduced that as a manufacturer that you could buy brand new off the showroom floor here in Australia, whereas previously Infinity had been a luxury export brand for Nissan to the US and I think in some parts of Europe. And possibly other parts of Asia outside of Japan. So common driveline from Nissan, so 3.5 litre V6, twin turbo sort of options, but definitely a nice package out there, and good to see more of them on the road and here at Sydney Dragway.
Yeah, so they were more a luxury arm of Nissan, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. So if you think Lexus and Toyota,
yes.
Infinity and Nissan is the same, same sort of thing.
Yep.
You probably got similar chassis that they'll base the Infinity off. So, a few years ago, you would have seen imports of V37 Infinities, which are a coupe,
yes.
and that was basically the same platform as a 370Z.
Yeah, okay.
In the Nissan product, but the Infinity just had a bit more of a luxury sort of trim level based off it.
I see. You learn something new every day.
More useless information just pouring out of my head.
I've learned two things, and I've only been here half an hour.
That's got to be some sort of record for me, Bushy. I think teaching someone two things in half an hour is a
whether I'll remember it in another half an hour is another thing, but we'll see how we go.
It's all right. I'll come up with some other random fact that no one really needed to know.
That's all right. Well, our friend in the ramp truck, he's very consistent on the lights. Another 359. I think the other one was a 360. That is
right there.
And the car in the rocket lane through with a 13.08, 113 mile an hour. And the ram truck pretty consistent at 18.99.
A little bit of a slowdown. I think he lost a few mile per hour there, so I'm not sure if he got out of it early, but yes.
All right, so the Subaru will take on the bucking Bronco.
Let's see if we can't improve. I think the Subaru ran before, but I didn't catch its previous run. Definitely people still making their way on down to Sydney Dragway. Starting to see a few more cars up here in the lanes, which is great. Right, a bit aggressive on the clutch, I think, for the Subi there on the launch, but it's going to gather it up and get on back after that Ford Bronco.
I think that's the thing that I'm starting to notice more and more with these all-wheel drive cars is you can't just. It's not just a step off the clutch. You've
not
got
at all.
There needs to be a little bit of clutch management in the sliding department.
Yeah, well, luckily with this car and some of the later models with the 6-speed, the driveline, the 6-speed driveline, featured in the STIs and some of the later models as standard was a lot more robust. But the earlier models, GC8. Bug Eye and I think Blob Eye and whatnot, with the 5-speed transmission, definitely needed to be handled with some kit gloves. They weren't. My workmate Justin that was here last week in his, it was just ticking over in the back of his head. He told me the next day, you know, coming in, I gave him a bit of a hard time because his 60s were a bit average.
Yes.
But he had a great time. But yeah, he's just constantly aware of that 5-speed transmission. But 6 speeds, not so much to worry about.
Pretty good improvement. But I mean, also we see a lot of the Evo drivelines not happy with a big go at the clutch and gearbox.
Yeah, I think transfer case was a bit of a concern, and rear diff.
Yes.
From what I understand, I think the RS diff is the one that people are sort of chasing for.
Well, we've seen a couple of actual diffs left on the start line. So, yeah.
Got up close and personal with the internals of an Evo diff.
Yeah. So, you know, we were talking the other day about finding the weak spot in a manufacturer's car, keeping in mind that they're not specifically designed to run out here on
a prepped surface.
On a prepped surface, you know, they're probably more at home, you know, in a gravel setting or a circuit type setting. But of course, they're a very good performance package, and you know, can be easily adapted to run anything.
Yep.
And I dare say tomorrow night we're going to see quite a few fast Evos here.
I think so, Bushy, and that's a great segue.
See what I did there?
I did see what you did there. Yeah, I didn't see it until it happened. That was that's how good it was. That was unreal. And what we're alluding to there is the very first off-street roll drag event that Sydney Dragway are going to host, which is coming up tomorrow night. So, as the name may suggest, this is drag racing from a rolling start. So, it's an exciting thing that's been taking really the world by storm, which is roll racing. It's just, you know, a different aspect to see at the drag strip. We're going to get the cars lined up in the staging lanes. They're going to present to the tunnel. Basically, just peek out through the tunnel so that you can see the other driver and the other car in the opposite lane. We're going to get you rolling from the tunnel. The lights are going to flash down from 60 kilometres an hour. The green light will come up and you'll be off racing to just past the 8th mile mark. So this is really going to, for starters, it's going to be a lot easier on the driveline of the cars because we're not, you know, talking about those considerations that we were just mentioning with the Subis and the Evos. You know, launching too hard off the line. It's going to have a nice rolling start, but it's also going to allow you to see how responsive the power of your engine package is. You know, what the torque production is like in your engine combination. Whether the gearing is good for that sort of acceleration.
Because I think obviously with the rolling start combination that you would put in your car would be a little bit different to what you would build a car for to take off from a standing start. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
the turbocharger size. If you run a turbo, you know, compressor wheels and bits and pieces would potentially be a little bit different. Not saying that a drag racing built combo wouldn't work or vice versa. It's just if you're chasing the optimum, you know what I mean? Like
definitely, you know, your torque converter, for example, might want to be a little tighter because you want more drive if you're running an automatic transmission. If you've got a manual transmission, then it's going to be difficult to perhaps build boost unless you've got some sort of rolling anti-lag set up. So you want a turbo that's going to come on quickly, as opposed to just have that really big top-end punch, which, you know, in a roll racing environment, you might find a car with a factory turbo or a smaller turbo is going to get out of the hole quickly, and by the time your big turbo comes on and you're really hauling the mail, the race might be over.
Yes.
You know, so...
well, I mean, we see that across the road with some of those Skylines, and they just sound so unreal as they're coming towards you, but unfortunately the car in the other lane's already through the finish line.
Yep.
You know, and
the
then
race
they
is all
scream past them halfway up the hill.
Exactly right.
You know, and I guess it's just a matter of coming out here and doing a few runs, test what you can change. Obviously, there's a limit to what you can actually change at the racetrack, but you know, there's plenty of people, plenty of workshops around that have cars that have run in roll racing all throughout Australia, and I dare say watch what other events happen around the world. And you know, if that's something that you're really into, I'm sure that, you know, a lot of the performance shops could help you out with something a little bit more specifically catered to a roll racing setup.
Definitely. There's plenty of shops out there that are starting to really build a playbook when it comes to building a roll racing car.
Yep.
You know, they know what'll work, or they'll say, hey, keep your big turbo. Let's just throw a little bit of nitrous on there.
Yes.
At the same time, you know, just feed it a little shot of nitrous just to wake that turbo up as you're coming up to the, you know, the start line, and off it goes. So there's definitely plenty of people that have really sort of moved they've moved their focus across to that kind of response package, you know, that still packs a good punch at the top end, but yeah, definitely getting out of the hole is going to be interesting. And I think it's going to be a big learning curve for a lot of people that haven't done it before. You know, I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of regular faces that are here at Sydney Dragway to do the normal drag racing as we are tonight, and they're going to give roll drags a go tomorrow night.
Yes.
And they might go, oh wow, I thought my car was going to be quicker out of the hole, or
Yes.
it really surprised me how strong it is when I get on it from 60. You know, people are going to have to figure out, should I be in a lower gear, should I be in a higher gear? You know, if you've got multiple tune options, you know, do you set it on kill? Or is it maybe, you know, turn it down a little bit? I mean, of course, always maximum horsepower, but you never know. You never know what might work for the individual combination, which, you know, I think it's going to be great. And there's going to be a lot of figuring out tomorrow night. You know, we want to address a couple of things, I suppose. You know, there's some discussion about the initial sort of setup that we're going to have at roll drags.
Yes.
We're going to run to 660. That's going to be 200 metres worth of racing. We have done a few test sessions with some very fast cars, you know.
Yes.
Specifically, I think it's Alex Solis's purple twin-turbo Lamborghini came out here and did some testing for us. The guys from B2R brought out a killer R34.
Yes.
You know, a little rotary Corolla. Yeah, definitely some high-power stuff as well as just regular street cars to get a bit of a feel for how it was running. And from those test days, the 200 metres seemed like it was enough from those test drivers. Even though we've said that, we're going to look at it. It's the first time.
Yes.
Everyone's getting in their knickers in a knot about this or that, or we might not be allowing a passenger in this first one. We're just going to go out there and we're going to cross our T's. We're going to dot our I's and make sure that everyone's safe.
Yes.
And
that's
that's the ultimate.
The ultimate thing.
The reason why we run at a prepped track with the safety crew, everything on board that's just off the racing surface, is because we want to make sure that everyone's nice and safe.
Yes.
So let's go through that. Bear with us. It's a great entry price. It's only $60 to run.
Yes.
I mean,
again, can't complain with that.
Absolutely
with that
killer.
cost.
You can come out here. You're going to get quite a few runs. You've got a beautiful prep surface. You've got the best drag racing surface in the country available at the moment. So that's going to be a great thing. But get on down. Give it a go. Come down. Give us some constructive feedback as well.
Yes.
If you do come down, or if you're watching on the live stream, Bushy and I will be commentating tomorrow night for roll drags. If you're on the live stream, give us some feedback. If you're racing, give us some constructive feedback. But please, let's get that first event out of the way first.
Exactly right, Pat, and hopefully we can build a good following of roll drags, not only from a racer's perspective, but also from spectators here at the venue and also on our live stream platforms as well.
Exactly right. Everyone had the FT mark on their on their windscreen at one point. They were all a first timer at one point. And roll drags tomorrow night. We're going to have FT on the gate out the front, first timer for roll drags. So we're really confident in it. We're really excited. So we hope that you are too, and you'll come down and give it a go. In the meantime, let's get back to some traditional from a dig drag racing here at Sydney Dragway.
Well, we've got a pair of Rotary powered cars making their way down the racetrack now. The little Corolla, I think, stumbled on the start line. We saw it in 11 second zone. Last run, I think it was at 120 mile an hour, 125 mile an hour, which tells me there's a fair bit left in that.
Yeah, I think a little bit more to work out still.
And the RX2 that time around 15:35 with a 598 mile an hour through the finish line. Okay,
I can see what our mystery dual cab was. It's a Volkswagen Amarok.
Yes, it's probably why it went so well.
Considering it ran a 14.6, I'm going to say it's got a V6 turbo diesel in there. The Volkswagen V6 turbo diesel is a pretty potent thing when it comes to dual cab utes. So I'm sure there's probably a little bit of flash tune trickery happening there as well.
Possibly. Of course, this ute down here, boys, I did see photos of this over Facebook the other week. It was up in Bathurst as part of the Midnight Runs Bathurst weekend, where they actually stayed the night and did some cruising around the mountain. Certainly looked great in the sunlight through their photos. Of course, my friend Steve Earle, who I used to run with back in the day when I was out in the street scene with Stax Motorsport, he was in charge of the whole weekend. They had a ball, from what I've been told.
Well, that's exactly what a ute's for, isn't it, Stewie? Get out, enjoy things on the weekend, drive to work, take the pigs to market on Sunday. I think that was the original brief from back in the day. It was, take the pigs to market on Monday and then go to church in your best on Sunday. Yep,
that's it.
Now, I must admit, boys, I'm in a little bit of heaven down here. I'm not used to working downstairs with a whole heap of Rotaries here tonight. Great to see the guys from Viz Rotary bring their RX3 out. Having said that, though, Steve, I just on the start line, and when that car left the line, it launched pretty well, but as soon as it got the 60-foot mark, just spun the tyres just that little bit. And I mean, you two were talking about roll racing. It's on tomorrow night. That's going to be a factor.
I think it will be a little bit of a factor for some cars, but at least the advantage that we have here at Sydney Dragway is we do actually have a rubber-coated surface where you're going to actually be applying full throttle, I suppose. And I dare say that we will do some track prep down the racing surface, and of course as we would normally prep for like tonight.
Yep.
I'm fairly certain that some of the issues that we see elsewhere may not happen.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be. It's going to be a prepped surface that has been rubbered in for quite a long time. So, you just have to look and see how many vehicles are coming out here running PBs, how many vehicles are coming out here running world records. Whether it's a private test day or in competition, or even on a Wednesday night. The surface is going to be there, but I think the big thing that maybe Stu was alluding to is people are going to be launching their car at a different point. So it's going to be, at 60 kilometres an hour. Now, are they going to be right at the top of first gear when they do that, and then they're going to jump on the gas and it's going to, be all in?
Yes,
right there,
or gear straight away, or are you going to let it, double clutch it into second and go from there.
Yeah, or maybe get it in second before you get to the green light.
Yes.
So you get that that mid-range torque and a drive out of the hole. So it's definitely going to bring up some challenges for some of the races. Some people may just have their cars so well sorted and might have done it before that they're they're going to nail it straight out. That little KE70, I think, has just not got the suspension and tyre package on board to get out of the hole tonight.
$19.95, 87 mile an hour for the Corolla, and I think the Falcon in the Aeroflow lane, that was spinning the wheels a fair bit off the hit as well. $18.97.
At 61, I think he might have gotten out of it a little early there as well.
Yeah, I think those stretch rims and that style of car that he's racing, it's hindering him a little bit off the start line. There's a lot of noise, but not a lot of forward momentum out of that car. So
you're right, Stu. But I suppose the good thing is he's not, he's not out there for sheep stations. It's a Wednesday night, so that racer only has to race themselves and the clock. So as long as they can have some fun, they can go out there, pedal to the metal, not have to worry about the boys in blue at the other end of the track. And, if they make some improvements across the night, that's what we're here for.
Well, the guy in the Pulsar's racing now in the Aeroflow lane, he just saw me downstairs, and instead of saying hello, the first thing he said to me was, "You owe me dinner." And I just...
Is he a patron of the club?
Well, no, he's not. Okay. He's a patron here at Sydney Dragway, but apparently I owe him dinner.
And he left it at that.
And he left it at that? Was there more to the story, Stu? Did you call it wrong one night? What happened? I think Stu's gone off to meet the gentleman in the Pulsar to find out why he owes him dinner. Maybe.
Well, I said to him, to be honest, I probably owe a lot of people dinner, but we'll leave it at that, shall we? But look, going for a wander through the staging lanes at the moment. We've got a beautiful-looking VK that's got a nice little hole in the bonnet. How you going there, sir?
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Not bad, thank you. What's your name?
Milad.
Milad, welcome to Aeroflow Race for real, mate. Tell me a little bit about your car.
355 stroker, side mount Pro Charger on it. Oh, sorry, a Vortec. 900 horsepower at the engine. Yeah, carburetor. No aluminium, just old school.
That's the way to go. Have you raced a car before?
I came here last week, spat the transmission all out of the speedo drive, and now I'm back again to try and keep it on the track.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's an absolute credit to you, Milad. The car looks fantastic, and hopefully we can see some good times out of it.
We hope so. See you shortly.
Thank you, Milad. Great stuff there.
Yeah, what a great combo there, Stu. VK, iron engine, side mount supercharger.
Casual 900 at the flywheel.
Yeah, casual 900. That's the operative word. Now, I'm just down here in the staging lanes, and there's a lady that I really want to do an interview with, but she's not with her car at the moment. But she got Lydia's Rotary Racing on the front of her Nissan Navara, and it has got a race number on it as well. I spoke to her briefly earlier off mic, only because she was wearing a race suit and a full proper drag helmet. Yeah, apparently it sounds like she's raced out here before in the Rotary.
Yeah, I think Lydia means business. If she's in a race suit and a helmet while she's driving a Navara, that's awesome. I think Lydia is our people. Stu, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Well, if I can find her, I'll definitely do an interview with her, because she was here last week racing, and I was pretty intrigued. Not just because it's got Lydia's Rotary Racing on the front of it, but namely because it's.
That is what got your attention.
One, they got a race suit, and two, it's good to see another lady out racing.
100% Stu. While you're walking through the staging lanes there, our friend in the Mitsubishi Scorpion.
Yes.
Went 001 on the Christmas tree.
The Scorpion strikes.
Yes.
Bushy.
Strikes with a vengeance.
I can't keep a straight face. I'm just saying. It's got a sting in the tail of the Scorpion.
So much we could do with that.
Oh, so much cheese.
But that might be about it.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, 001 on the tree, so very good reaction time. Of course, 1,000ths away from being perfect on the reaction time. Actually, we've seen a couple of O-lights already tonight.
We have the Wednesday night race for real competitors are bringing their reaction time game to the tree tonight, which is great to see. And I think that might have something to do with the possibility of a reaction time prize.
Correct. Of course, we do need to reach the minimum number.
Yes.
And Pat and I will let everybody know once we've reached that number. So if you've got any friends that aren't doing anything tonight, and you've sat around the campfire or the table and talked about coming racing, but just can't seem to convince them to come on down.
Yep, I think it's time to put the salesman hat on for your own benefit and just say, mate, come on down. It's a great time. You should do it. I'm going to win the reaction time money, so I need you there to make the numbers up.
Correct. It's as easy as that, and of course it's not cold tonight. I think winter is very much behind us.
No, the weather's beautiful out there. Actually, it's fantastic. So. This is the kind of weather that makes you enjoy being in Australia.
Yes.
Just before it goes one of the other way. All right, so back into SUV theme night territory down here. We've got what looks like an Audi Q7 in the Aeroflow lane, and I thought it was maybe a Pajero in
didn't sound like a Pajero.
Lane. It did not sound like a Pajero, no.
It sounded like it had twice as many cylinders as it should.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely something different going on down there.
Definitely not a Toyota four-cylinder in that one.
No, 2.5 to the 60 foot is outside the norm for most SUVs. Crossing for a 1697 at 84 miles per hour versus a 17.0 at 83 miles per hour for the Audi.
Yeah, good side-by-side race there. Not too much in it across the finish line, only 0.02 of a second.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right,
So
and looks like Holden HQ by the looks of things.
Yeah, nice looking car actually in the rocket lane.
Pretty tidy sort of survivor car thing. And Hilux. possibly?
So, sorry, fellas, I just got some intel.
Yes.
So the lady's name's Lydia, and she's actually got a series. I'm going to go on a limb, say Series 2, RX-7.
Okay.
She's been waiting 6 months for tyres, and she'll be licensing on Saturday
Oh,
in that
fantastic.
car.
Oh, nice. So this is a full-on race car, is it, I'm guessing?
Full-blown race car.
Yeah,
Yep.
nice. Okay.
Series 2 RX-7. Running slicks.
Yep, slicks have been tricky to get lately, that's for sure. So no surprises that there's been a bit of a wait on particular sizes.
Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait. But she just showed me a photo of the car, and yeah, I did get the jitters, the happy jitters. I mean, that was awesome. Now, just on a side note too, just behind Lydia is Tough 430, the Tirana. Now, these guys, I'm going to go out on a limb. These guys are taking it pretty seriously, Pat. They've got the laptop all hooked up, the engine's running. They're obviously getting a tune sorted for this car to get it down the strip. But tell you what, there's a couple of familiar faces that are floating around the car at the moment.
Bit of page up action, you reckon, down there, Stewie?
Well, the driver's on there. I'm not going to annoy him because he's got the race face on looking at the laptop. But just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're here at the track or if you're watching live on our live stream platforms, just goes to show just how serious it is, even at this level. I mean, I know that car is a radial car, or slick car, I should say, but, you know, they take it just as serious as a full-blown race weekend as they do bring it out on a Wednesday night here for a street meet. They want to get that car down the strip and get some data, and this is the place to do it. So I look forward to seeing what they can do on their next run.
You're spot on, Stewie. This is the place to do it. And our friend Malat that we just spoke to down the staging lanes in his VK just went down the track. Definitely looked like it was using up all the ponies until probably about 1,000-foot mark, where I think he did a bit of a sneaky bailout to make sure that the car went over at 11:30.
Yeah, it seemed to be off the throttle around at that point, although there was a little bit of fume coming from the car, I'll say. So maybe a little bit of a continuation of the issues that he had last week. So
yeah, hopefully not. Might just been a bit of remnants from last week still under the car, perhaps. But the ever-capable Sydney Dragway crew is out inspecting that racing surface at the moment, just making sure that there's no nasty little surprises for our next runner.
Well, guys, I'm just downstairs and the Area 51 Custom Performance. Well, we've got the ute down here now. We've seen this car on the drag strip. We've seen it on the burnout pad. It looks more at home on the drag strip. Mate, you pulled out a cracker of a reaction time when you first passed.
I did. I'm trying to get the zeros, mate, but it's not as easy as it looks.
Well, I think the weather might be playing a bit with that too. It is still a little bit warm out here. Obviously not as warm as earlier, but mate, the car is sounding strong.
Mate, we just had it back at the workshop. Did a gearbox the week before, still dialing it in. Back to the 4L68, trying to save another $3.5 grand on a stage 2. So it seems to be working. See what we're doing's working.
All right, we'll go out there and have some fun. That's what it's all about, guys. He says it with a big giant smile on his face, so he's having fun, and that's the main thing.
That's exactly what we want to see out there, Stu. And, yep, that gentleman, there is a fine art to keeping those 4L60Es alive. So we wish him all the best.
Commodores making their way down the racetrack. Another O light on the start line for the Aeroflow lane this time. 050 runs on through for a 13:45. Pat, 111 mile an hour to a 12:82 with a 4 at 111 also.
Strong mid-range for that VX in the rocket lane. Definitely got out of the hole about the same as the VE. Actually, only 3,000ths different. A 2.116 to a 2.119 in the 60-foot for those two cars.
Yes.
Which is very close. But yeah, 1280 for what I can only assume is a naturally aspirated LS is not a bad streeter.
Certainly not his is Tirana you were talking about before,
Yes.
I think, in the rocket lane.
Yep, and the VY Maloo that ran the nice time last time just got a little bit keen on the light there. But the Tirana off for going down for a 14.85 with a 3 at 90 mile per hour, very similar to the last run, so nice and consistent there. 13.36 at 106 for the Maloo in the Aeroflow lane. in from Area 51, pulling up in the long wheelbase Caprice, nitrous assisted. See if he can't chip away.
You'll off another a low 11. It's what did he run? 124, 125
yeah,
mile an hour.
125, yep.
Well, there wasn't much as a purge of the nitrous as what there was last week, guys. He's trying to get this car down to the 10s. 11.61.
Good speed
for
though.
that car.
Yeah, 132 this time on the mile per hour though.
Yeah, he was definitely giving it the beans on the back end, but 2.260 foot. That's really where he's going to have to.
Yeah.
He's going to have to work on that, and it's no easy task. IRS in the big long wheelbase Caprice, it is not a light thing. So I think definitely working on the 60 foot. That's going to chop that time down.
I guess the issue with doing that is you start leaning on your other mechanicals.
Yep.
Quite a bit.
Yep.
And especially with the car being such a big car, I assume that it's still got all the trim and everything in it. And
yeah, definitely. That is a full
yeah.
Luxo barge, as it could have been called when released. The Caprice was the top of the tree, so it's got all of the mod cons available at the time of manufacture. It makes for a beautiful street car, and Area 51 turning it into not a bad drag car. We'll be out there in the Rocket Lane in the Cortina, and we've got the little Viz Rotary RX3 pulling up.
Yeah, so the Rotary's already had a number of runs down the racetrack. I don't think we've seen quite a representative time just yet, but
no, it's been a wild ride.
He'll be away with an 021 red light.
The rotor is away a lot more clean pass this time. Push for a 975
wow.
with a 9 at 134. That's a bit more like it, I think, for that little package.
Yeah, I guess that just shows rather than trying to murder it off the start line, just get it moving and then let it go.
That's right. It's the old saying, if you want to finish first you must finish.
Correct.
I'm sure there's some way to relate that to getting a decent 60 foot or not. Wanted to sound intelligent and thoughtful with that one, Bushy, but I don't think it really worked that well.
I would never doubt that you're not.
No. Let's be realistic.
Credit where credit's due, mate. You do a good job. So,
right.
Here we've got
Joe Sorbello in
Sorbello
the Aeroflow lane, yeah.
And the Ranger in the other lane.
Is it a Ranger or I'm going to say it's a Navara, Bushy. I think
yes.
that's Lydia that Stewie was mentioning.
Oh, okay.
Lydia
That's
Rotary.
not bad.
So again, our licensed drivers just coming out in perhaps not their race car, but getting a bit of familiarity with the tree, getting the eye in for the light, getting those reaction times dialed in before they come out with their with their race car or in competition where it really matters.
Exactly right. And it's just, it doesn't really matter what you're driving. It's just getting into the atmosphere, getting into the feel of it, checking the track out, working perhaps where your braking marker might be or where you want to be pulling the parachute. I mean, if you haven't raced here for a while, I mean, the place doesn't change that much, but certainly it's a good idea to just come out here and familiarise yourself with what's going on. Now, 920 there for Joe in the Aeroflow lane, certainly a lot slower than he would have liked, but an 025 on the tree, probably pretty reasonably happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe a little bit soft in the 60 foot for Joe there, or maybe out to the 330. Wasn't quite squatting the rear end like it normally does, but. You're right, Steve, coming out and getting used to everything or even just getting used to the tree, the way that the light progression is,
Yes.
on the sportsman tree, or, if you're going to be racing with a pro tree, which is all three ambers lit up before the green comes off. It's something to get used to. I know I was certainly nervous after running, I think before I ran my first pro tree, which was at a Kenda event here,
Yes.
I'd only ever run, sportsman tree, so 1, 2, 3, go. as it looks. And I was a bit nervous. You know, I wasn't really sure. Am I going to make a complete hash of this? And I did. That was I was asleep on the tree. I could have got 40 winks before I left, but it's definitely just something that's out of the ordinary.
Yes, very much so. I mean, I've only raced once before with the Pro Tree, and we ran the first junior titles back in '97, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
And because it was a junior only event, we had plenty of time. I think we did something like 30 runs over 2 days or something. And one of those categories was we did like an index, 10, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9 Pro Tree thing.
Yep.
And my car running spot on 11 9s. And you would remember the racer in Pro Bike, ran the Kawasaki, Igor Krasnowski,
yes.
I think his name was. And he never seemed to have as much horsepower as everybody else, but he was always killer on the lights.
Yep.
And he used to do this thing, he'd not burn down, but he'd prefer to go last into stage, basically nearly just roll through. Like, because he'd hung the other racer out a little bit, it'd be like, obviously rock forward on the bike, rock forward, wide open throttle, and just let the clutch go. And most of the time, it worked. He cut a much better light than the other racer.
60% of the time, it works every time.
But yours truly here decided, I think I was the only one in the whole day to red line on the Pro Tree. and I had a car that ran 11 9s.
Yeah.
Amateur move.
But you know what they say, if you don't get a cherry on the tree every now and again, you're not trying hard enough.
Who said that? Who said that? Come on. Racing trivia.
Oh, you know what? I'm not exactly sure, but after the last 2 events, I think about 6 people have said that to me. And that's not to call out people that left cherries on the tree. That's just to say from experience.
Well, it's Warren Johnson.
Warren Johnson.
In mid-90s in Pro Stock in the US.
Yep. And, geez, Pro Stock is a cutthroat category to be running in. So, yeah, if anyone knows, it's those guys.
The little Mazda doing a good job out there. 13 at 34 with a 104 mile an hour through the finish line. It'd be a good matchup for the Escort there, Pat.
Yeah, absolutely.
971, 148 for that Tirana in the Rocket Lane.
Well, I think they definitely gave it a couple of page ups, right?
Yes. Oh, that was the one that they were
I
doing
think
the
it
tuning
was.
on,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it was.
Looks really tough. Had the two-tone paint and the big set of tyres under the back as well.
It was just a little bit of liquid. It came out of that rotary before, boys. That's why we had that little hold-up. It was only a few little spots. I thought it was water, but, we just picked it up. Might have had a bit of oil in it, just to be safe than sorry. Just give it a quick mop-up. But, hey, that's what happens when you're running a small motor and you're putting a lot of boost and a lot of stress on those motors.
Yeah, definitely, Stu. It can be a little bit of overflow somewhere. It can be, a little bit of a catch can. And, for those that aren't, seasoned professionals at the drag strip, if you're running a vehicle that has an external catch can, just drain it before you come to the track. Make sure you check things out and, inspect it. The cans are there to catch oil vapor and separate the oil, hence their name. Sometimes you'll hear them called an oil-air separator. So the engine's going to breathe. It's got oil fumes and whatnot coming out of it, so that's going to go into the can, separates the oil from the air, lets the engine breathe, but that oil that's been separated from the air ends up in the can, and over time it will fill that can. It isn't a bottomless cup. So what can happen and has happened plenty of times, mostly with guys that are running boosted combinations. They're another great run for Mr. Sauer there, 11:36, 125, super consistent. Versus 17:85 at 76. As I mentioned, a lot of the time, boosted combinations have come out here. Someone's got on the chip at the line or gone for a bit of a launch, and all of a sudden there's a bit of smoke, a bit of steam, a bit of everything coming out. The old catch can was right to the brim, and then got a bit of a shot.
Yeah, we often see it, not so much at this level, but when we're talking like Pro Slammer or something like that, normally they run a vent tube out of the catch can through the boot lid, or in an alcohol dragster, for example, you see the tubes running off the tap. It covers up to a tank that sits behind the or above the diff.
Yep.
Obviously, placing it there means that if for whatever reason it does fill up, then you're not dumping that fluid or whatnot under your tyre, which of course is the last thing that you want in any car.
That's correct. And often you'll see your street car type setup with a catch can in the engine bay.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of the universal ones that are available out there are really quite small in capacity. They're designed more for a naturally aspirated thing. But,
yes.
Put it on a boosted car, all of a sudden there's a bit more crankcase pressure, a bit more ventilation happening, and they can fill up quick, especially if you're on the likes of E85, which carries a bit of moisture in the fuel, which finds its way into the oil. So that will burn off when the oil's at air temperature. That's going to work its way up through the top end of the motor, out the breathers, into the tank. So it's a really easy thing to overlook, particularly if you're not in that rhythm of, okay, I'm going to check this, I'm going to check that before I'm going racing, I'm doing this and going through your checklist. Just worthwhile popping one of the lines off, or popping the filter off, have a look in there, or grab the can if you can take it off easily, give it a shake. If it feels like there's something in there, just dump it out. Just dump it out.
It takes a few once you've gone to the effort of removing it from the car, it's tipping it out's the easy bit.
And you'll see the Enviro sponsored waste bins here at Sydney Dragway. You see them around the big ICBs.
Yes.
The white
tub
bins
with the cage on it.
Yep, the cage on the outside, and you'll see the Enviro, which is thankfully supported by our sponsor, Enviro Waste Group. So if you do come out and you've got a full catch can, you can take that over to one of those bins and dispose of it appropriately. Please don't pour your oil and vapour and whatever else into the regular rubbish bins. People have to empty those. It's not a pretty sight when there's a whole bunch of oil coming out of there. So
no, it's also not good for the environment.
It's also not good for the environment. If no one notices it, it goes into the regular rubbish. There's all sorts of concerns there. So put it in that big white tub with the Enviro label on the outside, and the guys from Enviro Group are going to look after it. All right, here's some more rotary action, Steve.
Yeah, a little bit of flame out of the RX2 at the end of the burnout there.
It's obligatory for a tough rotor, isn't it?
Yep. A mate of mine from school used to have a RX2 with a peripheral port 13B.
Oh, yeah?
And he reckoned every time it did a bit of flame out the pipe cost him about $2. and that was back 25 years ago or something like that. So I'd hate to be like $5 now.
Yeah, that's right. The price of fuel at the moment, that is not a small spend. So, but
spectacular all the same.
Yeah, you wouldn't have it any other way, would you? Yeah. Spend the money. Enjoy the smiles.
14.36 with a 2:101 for the RX2 in the rocket lane, and a 12.98, 122 for the Corolla there, Pat. So definitely back where that racer was at the start of the night.
Yep, absolutely. He's getting his head back around it. So we've got the little K70 rotary powered stance machine down there. So let's see if they can't get it off the line cleanly. And
it sounds nice, though.
It sounds
it's
great.
got a really good engine note to it. I don't know if you're a rotary guy, but
look, I know of them. I admire some of them. Some of them I question, but but look, I'm not a rotary owner. I definitely appreciate a really nice one.
Yes.
Definitely. I think it's like anything, right?
As a matter of fact, I just said to the boys on the start line, if I could get my mic hooked up to a little speaker that we could pump the sound of a rotary into the commentary box, mate, I'd do that 100%. Let you boys listen to that symphony of brapness.
I'm pretty sure Benji would just turn your mic off, mate. So.
Yeah, you probably would actually, but let's be honest. But and it's good. Like, to be honest, it's a bit of a surprise because as you boys well know, we get a lot of people ask, "Where are the rotaries? Where are the rotaries?" Well, as we always say, we never know what's going to come through the gate week to week, and we're very lucky that we've got very different styles of rotaries and different styles of cars because you've got your more drag car set up in the sense of that Toyota Corolla with the radials on the back of it. You've got the more street orientated cars like those Mazdas, the little Capellas, and then of course you've got more like a stance version with that little Toyota Corolla. So we've got all styles of the car scene here tonight that are all running Rotary motors.
Well, I mean, the car culture in Sydney is so varied that, you know, we just don't know. This is why we have these theme nights, is to try and cater, you know, to attract specific sections of that culture to Sydney Dragway that may or may not come otherwise.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. And I think it's always, you know, you like to be surrounded by what's familiar as well. So
Yes.
if you do have a particular type of vehicle and you know that there's going to be a whole bunch of others
Yes,
of the same
it'll
thing
motivate
there.
you to come along.
Yeah, it'll motivate you to come along. It'll
Yes.
let you go, well, I've got a 13B. That guy's got a 13B. Let's see what, you know,
Yes.
is my 13B better than his 13B? Who knows? Bring it out here, give it a go. You know, whatever it might be. So that's where the theme nights are really working. You know, the diesel night is
Yes.
probably the
Yes.
biggest one that I think people are surprised with. You know, the
Yes.
turnout is unreal because.
And they're certainly not scared.
No, they're not scared to give it a go.
No.
There's some wild four-wheel drives that come out to the diesel night. So yeah, and why not? You love the car, and the fact of the matter is these days, you know, your tradie can't go and buy a Commodore Ute or a Falcon Ute from the factory anymore, from the showroom. So the option is Ranger, Hilux, LDV, whatever it might be, Triton. You know,
Yes.
Land Cruiser.
Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes. Well,
Are they diesel?
I think they've discontinued them, to be honest. Yeah, I think they got out
so
of
they
those.
didn't last very long.
Well, it was a partnership with Nissan. There was a Navara chassis,
Right.
and I think the entry level was basically Navara chassis and running gear with Mercedes sort of additions on top, and then the more premium specs had Mercedes running gear
Oh, okay.
in
I wasn't
them.
aware of that.
in them as well. Yeah, but I've got a feeling that Merck sort of went, I don't know if we want to do that anymore.
I guess a little bit of a strange partnership in the first place, but
Yeah, I think it was, you know, it might have been someone had a really good pitch at a board
Yes.
meeting one day and went, hey, we're selling a lot of these, you know.
yes.
But, all right, Scorpion, another 046. Reaction time out there alongside his buddy at the Capri.
He's already thrown down the gauntlet, though.
Yeah, he's already set the benchmark at a 001. 046 is not a bad way to follow it up, though.
Nice and consistent. 16.44 with a 182 mile an hour through the finish line, Pat.
Yep.
And the little Capri, a 17.20. So he's pretty consistent as well at 78 miles an hour.
It certainly is.
Subaru taking on the XR5.
Yes. XR5, great engine note. Out of those, 5-cylinder Volvo sourced motor in the XR5. Really interesting sort of engine sound from that car. Arguably far better than the later ST, although maybe not as good performance-wise. That little XR5 certainly has a few mods
Definitely.
done to it.
Sit nearly 90 mile an hour at half track, thank you.
Yeah,
And-
13.17 at 112 is that is a spicy Focus.
Yeah, nice. Got off the line, not too bad as well. 2.26 seconds to the 60 foot.
Certainly.
And the Subaru in the other lane runs on through from 15.37, 95 mile an hour through the finish line.
Well, it's good to see a few more SUVs that have turned up. Got the Audi Q7, which is just about to come out. And we've also got a first timer. It's coming out in their Subaru XV. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're thinking, oh, you know, I wanted to come out and race tonight. Hey, come out, bring your SUV. We've got an Odyssey battery voucher up for grabs for the fastest SUV here this evening.
Oh, I thought that was just for me, Stu.
Yeah, well, I thought you might need it for your escort. That's all. You know.
It was sitting right in front of where I'm sitting. I assumed it was just for me.
Yeah, what do they say? Possession is 9/10 of the law, Bushy. I
Yeah.
think if you've got it in hand, mate, that's...
You'd think so.
If only I bought my helmet.
Hey, guys, we're lucky we got the guys from Seven Sins Racing here tonight, too. They've got the black Nissan Navara.
Okay, I think I did notice that that brand on the back of Falcon Ute earlier as well, Stu, so a couple of the guys out.
Yeah, because those guys quite well known through the sport compact world. So it's great to see them here tonight as well. But, hey, we don't have a lot of cars, but, hey, you know, we've got some quick cars and we've got some beautiful cars. We've got a Tesla here tonight. Of course, it wouldn't be Race for Real without Tesla.
They're definitely going to upset some people for sure.
Yeah, actually, I passed one of those the other day. There was a fella in there, had one up, plugging it in. And everybody going up and talk to him, it was like they'd never seen an electric car before. They're all going up and chatting to him about the car and, you know, how long it takes to charge and you know, so forth. And it was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's one of those unknown things. You know, people are like, oh, geez, I'm seeing a few more of those. Maybe we should we should have a look at it. And I think arguably, you know, to take my you know, nitro loving E85 burning, you know, horsepower hat off.
Your petrol head hat.
My petrol head hat off for a second. I think they pose a really good argument as a daily commuter. You know, I mean, to not have to worry about, like, if you've got to drive. I use this example in the office all the time because it's always, you know, a Tesla's never far from a debate. But, you know, if you've got to drive 45 Ks to work, you know, 45 minutes to work, you know, you're in traffic, in Sydney traffic. Do you need to be throwing $2.50 a litre out the window to do that? Probably not. No. You're more than welcome to. You know, by no means am I saying that everyone should convert, but if you can drive that thing to work in relative comfort, you know, nice AC, nice sound system, pretty comfortable car, all the mod cons, and then just get home and plug it in at night for a few dollars to get it charged back up. It's a pretty good argument. So fair comment, Stu, to see that people are asking the questions of some owners.
And me being somebody that sits here and looks at consistency of cars and that sort of thing, like, I'm surprised that we don't see more of them. In like Street Fighter or you know, especially if you end up with the sports version that runs into the 11s. Like, that's certainly a fast car.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Plaid, right?
Yes.
The Plaid, that's a 9-second car from the factory, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've
seen that.
That's a top of the wazzers in the sedan sort of thing, but
I thought you were going to say the top of the watts. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, that's you know, definitely the performance is, you know, is there. It's available. Like, even the base models are a quick street car. You know, you put them in the, you know, set them to kill, and I'm sure we'll see that with this racer coming up when Lane 2 gets going again.
Well, one thing I have noticed, and particularly, I mean, I can't vouch for all areas, but particularly from the area of Sydney where I'm from, funnily enough, there's a lot of Kia and Hyundai electric-based cars rather than Teslas getting around.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a range out there now, Stu. So maybe we'll have to do it. This will be controversial. Maybe we'll have to do an EV night, theme night on Race for Real, and we can see who is the king of the EVs.
Pat's thrown it out there, ladies and gentlemen. He's walked the limb.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for the hate to appear on the live stream, to be honest, or maybe I'll get the "Don't come back tomorrow" letter when I walk out tonight.
No, you won't get that, Pat. You won't get that. It's all right.
Now, this first timer down here with this old I'm going to go with Statesman or HZ GTS. This thing is beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really good on the staging lane cam as the racer went under the tower, Stu.
Great bit of old school Aussie muscle. Can't go past it.
We need to pair him up with the red one.
Yes.
Actually, that red one that went down before, Steve, actually had a roll cage in it, funnily enough, which is interesting because I'm wondering whether it's formerly had another engine in it. I'm going to go talk to the driver.
Shun the EV.
It started already, Pat. It's taken about 30 seconds. We were waiting for it. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
No, look, I think I
yes,
really
right.
need to.
You're probably right, Pedal Van Man.
Yeah.
If we mix it in, it would be okay.
Yeah.
You'd be able to tolerate that, yeah?
Yeah. We're not suggesting that we install charging units in the pits at Sydney Dragway, but you know, why not get it out here? You know, have something to to differentiate yourself from the rest, see what they've got. Why not? Yeah, we welcome with open arms everyone in Street Fighter class and all that sort of thing. If you want to come out here and run an 18-second pass in a RAV4 or whatever it is, similar to our campaigners that we had on the weekend at the track championships, that's perfectly fine because you're racing the clock. You're lining up against your ability and your reaction time. So if you do it with something that's got an electric engine versus a petrol one, then you're welcome to do that here too. Is this twin turbo Mustang definitely a better launch this time? Is out. At a 179, 60 foot, a 688 to the 8th, 876 at 1,000 and a 1036 with a 4 at 141 miles per hour. That is the performance that we were a little bit closer to what we were expecting out of that Mustang there. So congratulations for the driver to get that down.
Didn't seem as noisy that time around either.
No, turbocharged engines definitely.
True.
You got a couple of mufflers spinning on either side of the motor there.
I was forgetting that it had the turbo on there. Of course, it had that growl though at the top of the burnout. When he finished the burnout, but
it may also have one of those little side valves on the bypass exhaust. Potentially.
Angry Rotary. Must be in the tunnel.
I think
it's that silver RX-7, boys. And I just noticed, I thought it was an auto, but it's actually a manual. It certainly sounds the part, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the driver's definitely got some experience at rowing the gears as well, Stu.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you boys know, sport compact cars are not exactly the easiest style of drag car to drive. But, when you add a manual gearbox on top of that, it does make it a little bit more tricky than what it is. Great stuff. We've got Tidy Az back in the house as well.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful looking blue VK Commodore. This is a bit of a crowd favourite, this car. It is so clean, Pat.
Lives up to its number plate.
Yep.
Definitely.
Now, Mr. Sabello. What's going on, mate? How are you going?
Mate, I'm going bloody terrible. I don't know. It must be the heat.
Must be, but 9.2, considering it is warm, you'd be happy with that?
No, not really. I still want to see an 8.8. Where do you get the 9.2? I don't want to be going backwards.
Well, it is hot. It's a bit warm, and there's a fair bit of heat coming out of that engine bay.
So we blame the heat. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I know it's not the driver, because normally you're down into the 8s.
I don't know, the car feels good. I know it hasn't been 60 foot in, so that could be part of the problem. Maybe I'm doing too big a burnout. Maybe I have to slow it down a bit. Maybe get off the line a bit better.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, you'll figure it out. You always do.
I definitely try. I've got to do an 8 tonight, otherwise I'm going to be very disappointed and I'll be unhappy. So that's it.
Yeah, well, I'd rather interview you now while you're happy than when you're unhappy, that's for sure.
Nothing like a good dose of honesty from Mr. Sabello down there, Stu.
Absolutely. And, it's not an Aeroflow Race for real without a comment from Joe, the legend himself. He's a legend. He just said on the little live feed I did a bit earlier, close to 5,000 runs down this quarter mile.
That's some commitment for sure, Stu.
That's awesome. There's not a lot of people that can lay claim to that either. So
no, definitely not.
It's a credit to Joe, and he's out here just about every week in just about every track championship that we run as well, running either in Super Sedan or Top Sportsman. But as you guys said, we've got roll drags on tomorrow night here at Sydney Dragway. Now next week, we got Aeroflow Race for real, which will be happening on the Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, we've got Tyre Thrashing Thursday, our dedicated burnout night, which is coming up. And I know there's a lot of people that are chomping at the bit to come out and smash some tyres on our Burnout Masters burnout pad.
You're spot on, Stu. Tyre Thrashing Thursday is the new location for the previous. Thank God it's Friday. We've moved that across to Thursday, so all the same tyre thrashing action. Plenty of burnout entrants that are coming through in both the regular entries and pro entries. I believe the entry list is coming up in the next couple of days for that one. But yeah, Sydney Dragway is the place for all your consistent top-tier burnout action in Sydney.
And of course, looking ahead too, Pat, we've got a round of the National Drag Racing Championship coming up as well.
Ooh, yes.
With the Top Fuel Funny Cars as the headline act.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. The boys in the race shop are feverishly working away. We've got, maybe I'll just say that we've got a couple of surprises, a couple of good announcements to come out in the following days. I think in the next week or so.
Actually, for those people that probably don't get to come out to those style of events, Pat, or they're busy doing other stuff. When you say preparation in the race shop, aside from pulling the cars apart and checking everything, what are the other main things they need to do while preparing for a major event?
Well, gee, there's absolutely a laundry list of things that you want to get ready for those top tier cars. I mean, we're talking 10,000 horsepower, 500 kilometres an hour. These things are basically trying to tear themselves apart when they go down the road. A top fuel engine technically shouldn't work. There's that much fuel in a cylinder in an engine block at any one time that it shouldn't work. But thank the lords of nitro and horsepower that it does, because seeing those short wheelbase funny cars fly down the track with 8-foot flames above the roof is something to see. But in order to do that and do it consistently and go rounds, the guys have to prep. They've got to prep components. They've got to prep engines. They've got to prep cylinder heads. Our guys are really, really good on the tune-up to consistently run down the track and not hurt things too bad. But it's the nature of trying to spit 10,000 horsepower out of an engine that you're going to hurt stuff. Rods literally get shorter after each run. Even if you don't hurt anything, you pull a rod out of a nitro motor and it's shorter than it was before. So you've got to mark that down. You've got to put that on the rack. You've got to grab another rack, put that in the engine. Swap the heads out because valves are going to tulip. You're going to see potentially a head gasket get pushed out. It's going to eat a little bit of material. So we're going to be prepping cylinder heads all week.
Because the minute you go, I might get 2 runs out of that head.
No.
You get 1.5 and a massive parts bill.
That's exactly right. So it's better to have a fresh bullet ready to go each time you're about to point that thing down the track. And it's no easy task. It is a wild ride. Holding those on. If you tune into Aeroflow Nitro Funny Car social media or YouTube channels or NDRC, you'll see plenty of footage of those things. It is not a walk in the park to tame that thing. And the difference between Nitro Funny Car and a top fuel dragster really is 2 key points: wheelbase. The Funny Car is a much shorter thing, so the chassis is a lot shorter. There's not as much flex in the chassis to take up all that torque and power getting down the track. And aero, there's no big wing like a dragster has out the back of it, or the little wing at the front, using that downforce to keep the car on the track as best they can. They still have their hands full, like we've all seen in the past. But the Funny Car doesn't really have that. There is some aero advantage to the body. Of course, so as it goes down the track, the body actually hugs the ground and pushes it lower and lower. But we hope not to see any concerns like looks like we've had a golf cart expire after it spent too much time chasing Skippy off the side of the track.
Yeah, that's the meeting directors too, so that probably wouldn't go down too well.
Yeah, it's not going to be ideal.
Now it looks like we've got a broken drive shaft here, boys, in Sammy Joe's Commodore.
Wow,
unfortunately.
Sammy Joe's been on the light all night as well, Stu. So, as we did mention, it can put some stress on some driveline components. But, you've got to be in it to win it.
You do have to be in it to win it, and you're no stranger to cutting some good lights. Do you know what's gone wrong?
I think it's a tail shaft. Yeah. So when you send it.
Well, yeah, but hey, you got to find the weak link, don't you, Sammy?
That's it. Oh, well, hopefully we're back out by next week.
Well, we hope so, mate. So it wouldn't be Race for Real without you guys here.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. It's obviously a big family event and we love being a part of it, so stoked to be here.
All right, well, hopefully see you next week, Sammy. There you go, boys. Tail shaft, unfortunately.
That's a shame, Stu. Bring the night to an end early, but what a legend. Savage Joe down there, absolutely sending it, and coming out here and supporting Sydney Dragway, Race for Real, brought to you by Aeroflow Performance.
Yeah, speaking about Aeroflow, I was on Facebook today and noticed there was a massive ad from Aeroflow about the barrow motors. They had a picture of a turbo and a few little bits and pieces. I guess you can buy it as a package by the look of it, the way that it looked like it was advertised.
You're spot on, Stu. I'm going to put my advertising voice on here all of a sudden. So that would have been a boosted combo pack that you would have seen from Aeroflow Performance. Currently this month is being featured the Barra setup, so including that you're going to get an OEM style turbo manifold, a internally wastegated turbocharger.
He does have a sales voice. He actually has one.
Have you got a pen and paper?
Mostly all the things that you need for converting that NA Barra that you might have in your car to a turbocharged model. So great opportunity to get on for some discounted prices there. So make sure you check out the Aeroflow social media. You will find that, or you can give them a call. You can give the guys at Rocket a call over there. They're going to have all those parts in stock, as well as any others that you'll need to get boosted by Aeroflow.
Or if you want Pat's personal mobile number.
That is 0401. Shut your mouth.
So I got a little bit excited during the week, Pat.
Yeah, mate.
Well, I was on Facebook on my break. Yes, I do work, ladies and gentlemen. I don't spend all day on Facebook, just so you know.
Allegedly.
But, be nice, you guys. But no, there was a little promo video put up from a gentleman who I have a massive, huge amount of respect for. His name is Damien Muscat. And for those people that have been around drag racing for a number of years, because they would remember him from Top Fuel Motorcycle when he used to run Nitro Phoenix, the Nitro Harley. Well, of course, he's just recently taken delivery of Sam Will's 5-second bike from the US. And he had a little promo video put on Facebook today. Nitro Phoenix fully blown. Make sure you do check out the Facebook page and keep up to date with what Damien's doing. Now, of course, Matho, the absolute legend himself, and a gentleman as well. Of course, he ran the first 592. Steve, and you and I are very fortunate to see that run together in commentary.
Very much so, Stu.
But you know what? If there's one other man that I reckon that can run into the 5-second zone, it will be Damien Muscat. I've seen what he can do on the Nitro Harley, but on the multi-cylinder bike, it's a totally different kettle of fish. I reckon he'll do quite well.
Yeah, and we can't go past a bit of nitro action, Stu, so the more the merrier when it comes to nitro-burning vehicles on the drag strip. We've got to love it.
Well, it seems like Top Fuel Motorcycle has made a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is great to see.
I think there's a bit more, there's been a bit of technology, there's been a bit of, improving engine blocks, definitely clutch packs, gearboxes, things like that. I know that's what Matho got his head around. They had a nice clutch setup when he ran that first 5 here in Australia on the Nitro bike. So yeah, he's hoping that there's a few other guys that are going to step up, get those upgrades, get up to the current spec, and tame those beasts down the track.
Yeah, because obviously any of these professional category cars, they produce way more horsepower than any racetrack can handle. So It's actually all about managing it through either engine tune, chassis tune, or clutch. And when you hear Pat, Stu and I talk about clutch management, obviously the crew can tune the vehicle so that it delivers X amount percentage of drive at any point. Like I think a Top Fuel car has 5 or 6 clutch discs in it in the later generation ones that I'm aware of.
Yeah, the 6 disc.
Yeah,
6 disc is really where they're at now.
And they're engaged through a number of timers. And so obviously on the hit of the throttle, we see a lot more clutch dust because obviously the clutches are sliding against one another, effectively wearing. But once the car gains speed down the racetrack, the timers throw more and more clutch at it. So obviously the closer it gets to having all clutch discs fully engaged, the closer you are to getting a one-to-one drive. Correct. So the sooner you can get the one-to-one drive happening, the faster you go, and the lower your ET obviously. So we see something similar in a roundabout way, simplified in a Pro Slammer. They run a lock-up converter. Now, I don't know if they're done on a timer or if they're done manually with the driver. They can basically tune in the converter to when they want it to lock up. Same principle with the fuel car. The quicker you get to the point on the racetrack where you're running one-to-one with that engine, the quicker and faster you're going to go.
That's right, and a lot of the pro cars are going to use a G meter, so to measure the G-force down the track to really get a scope of where the acceleration is falling off, where the car's falling off on power. And as the guys at the race shop have told me, with the new generation cars with the 6-disc clutch, basically you would see with a previous five disc setup, they would see the G's come right up, obviously off the hit, and then probably around half to three-quarter track, it would start to fall off. It would taper off. But with the new 6-disc setup, it just basically doesn't fall off. So it's just constantly pulling harder and harder as it gets towards the big end, which is why we've seen those funny car records fall and the mile per hour getting pretty wild out the back end, because as those of us that are fans of the sport will see that we're still running across 1,320 feet, the full quarter mile, with the funny cars, whereas in the States and basically everywhere else they're running 1,000 foot. That may change as our cars get a lot faster. 330 miles per hour is nothing to joke around.
Yes, certainly not.
Even with a world-class facility like Sydney Dragway and some of the newer ones that are coming on board, like the Bend and whatnot, the braking areas are something to consider. So, but ultimately, the advancements in technology, really from the top all the way to the bottom in drag racing, is what keeps pushing us faster and faster.
100%.
Down the track. So,
you get people out there that aren't necessarily into cars and go, well, why do we need Formula One? Why do we need, these people spending all this money on race cars? Well, a lot of the technology that we see in Formula One eventually filters into passenger cars, and then the more people the more manufacturers that use that technology, generally the cheaper it becomes, and then the more available it becomes. That's
exactly right. And sometimes it actually works its way in from road car and then back into racing as well. You look at the slammers, like you were mentioning earlier, the pro slammer cars. They have started to go to 5-speed transmissions, which sometimes you'll look at it and you go, okay, if the car's got 1, 2, or 3 gears, it's going to be in gear for longer, not in between them. But what happens when you've got less gears is each change means that the RPM and the amount of power that the engine makes at any particular RPM, it might fall out of that zone. That torque or power zone. So by going to multiple ratios, you're able to keep the engine in that happy zone, making peak power all the way down the track, which is where the records came. The guys from Moitz Racing, Paul Hoyt was obviously a pioneer driving that in Australia. The next thing that they had to work out was how to keep a diff in it because they were constantly pumping so much power down, and that's when the billet centers and whatnot started to come through. So, and that's something that we've seen in road cars from an efficiency and a performance point of view. They've gone from a 2-speed automatic transmission and power guide to a 3-speed to a 4-speed with an overdrive to 5, 6, 7, and like that Mustang that's down there tonight.
10-speed now.
It's got a 10-speed. Ford Rangers have a 10-speed, Amaroks 8-speed, things like that, and it's this technology that's sort of coming forward where at first we go, oh, that's not going to be any good.
Well, it's funny, we actually talk about, as you sitting there explaining that, I remember back when I was racing, there was a gentleman in Door Slammer who I won't mention, but he wanted to run a 4-speed. He was the only car in the field that ran 4-speed. Everybody was running 3. same thing that you were saying. Tried and tried and tried and tried, and I don't think he ever got it to work to its potential. But looking back now, I think maybe first gear was too low and was too hard on the tyres. Clutch technology is not there either. You know, maybe he was thinking on a different tangent to everybody else. The idea was there, but just the application didn't work for him. But you know, as you say, Pat, you know, the whole thing of keeping the engine in that optimum power band to keep it performing close to its best is how we're seeing these improved numbers all the way through.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, you know, now we're fully data logging everything. You know, and that's it can be a little bit tricky in itself. I mean, okay, it's better to have the information than not have it, but you need to know how to. If you do need to make a change, you need to know how to read the data to say, well, I want X to happen, but how do I achieve it?
That's right, and that's where these, you know, the crew chiefs and the car chiefs, you know, really earn their keep. You know, if you can decipher that, you know, does it need more boost? Does it need more timing? Does it need more fuel? In the case of a fuel car, you know, and just the more fuel you can put in there, the better it's going to go. So, yeah, there's a lot to it, but absolutely having the information is a big thing. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talk about the differences between, you know, previous technology and then current technology. You know, Aeroflow had the Outlaw funny cars, which were still still campaigning. A few of those. They're off to Palmyra up near Mackay at the end of this month. That's basically one data logger.
There's low tech,
and there's not a lot in there. You know, it's basically GC will watch the car go down the track and go, it needs this, and the guys will change it and it'll go faster, which is, you know, what he's used to for the last 40 odd years. But, you know, with the newer cars, with the top fuel sort of setups, the nitro funny cars, there's 4, I think. I'll probably get that wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's 4 logging computers on that. There's a lot more to it. And in that case, you know, Morris has really taken over the reins. You know, the drivers, Morris, Brandon, you know, they've really taken over the reins of analysing that data, you know, going right through it and figuring out what the car needs.
Not being disrespectful to GC, but I guess, you know, the newer generation of drivers are more adept to looking at that.
Yeah, there's no disrespect. He was the one that said it to Morris. I haven't got time.
Okay.
I've got no time to learn all that.
Fair
That's all you, which is quite a bit of pressure to put on to put on someone's shoulders. So, yeah, that's you know what you know, and definitely some things can be you know, a bit intimidating when they're new, but I think once we lean into it, it's only getting better.
Actually good having you here, Pat. We can get a bit of lowdown on the bits and pieces that's happening in that world of drag racing. I understand there's probably a few little secrets there that we won't get information publicly on, but certainly, yeah, you said that there's an announcement coming in the next couple of days or week or thereabouts. So we'll keep our eyes on social media, I guess.
It's only good and exciting things coming forward, you know, for drag racing. So yeah, we finally got, you know, top fuel funny car or nitro funny car, whichever way you want to put it, back in Australia as a competition category, rather than just, you know, the odd exhibition here and there.
Yes.
Which is a great thing. You know, the more races, the better. The more nitro on track, the better. As far as we're concerned.
Because I want to say it was probably late 90s was the last championship we had in Australian drag racing for top fuel funny car. And that was campaigned reasonably strongly back then. But of course, you know, just the evolution, you know, racers say, I don't want to run this anymore. They want to go into top fuel, for example. You know, whatever. So, you know, there's not a huge pool of people that have the budget, experience or the time to run a nitro car, because it is next level. There's no denying that. You know, even to run any of the professional categories, your commitment, it has to be 100%. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But I, you know, not to be cliche, I think anything with that yellow fuel in it is 150% minimum. You know,
that's right. You're in it for the love of it, not because you're going to make any money out of it. That's definitely the way to look at it, and it does take a lot of passion. It takes a lot of it takes a lot of commitment. to the category that you love. But you know, that's drag racing all over. That's a lot of sports all over. You know, I mean, if you're at the top of the tree, you're probably spending a lot of money, no matter what it is that you do.
To get there, yes.
Absolutely, in motorsport, but any you know, real sport, you know, soccer, football, you've got to have a big budget to be at the top of the tree. So we're happy and glad for those people to exist, because it lets us mere mortals watch on in awe. And then, you know, we're happy for all of the supporters of the sport to come out, like tonight on a Wednesday night, you know, the grassroots thing, and really, you know, go from the bottom all the way through to the top.
100%, Pat.
Well, this Infinity down here, boys, 3-litre turbo underneath the bonnet of it. Actually quite a smart looking car on the inside, even though it's a Nissan byproduct. All right, looks like we've got a little bit of fluid down on track. They've just called for the thinners.
No worries, Stu. I think that might be a great opportunity for us to throw to a couple of sponsor ads.
Bangshift shifters from Aeroflow Performance are truly the modern shifter for the modern age. Featuring a full bespoke billet case, all shifters are designed for right-hand drive vehicles with an LED lit gear position indicator. Available in either ratchet or gated options, as well as OEM replacement shifters for popular Holden and Ford vehicles. A large range of Bangshift spares are available for each shifter that includes shifter cables, brackets, lever and gate kits, trans brake buttons and drop boxes for the ideal mounting solution. Shift into gear and check out a full listing at aeroflowperformance.com.
How would it be if we funded a pilot program for you to run that enabled you to bring some vision impaired kids onto the Saints Play program?
Oh wow, that would mean the world. My reward is the smile on the kids' faces.
And since you've given so much to others, we'd also like to do something for you personally. How would it feel if Pepper sent you, your partner, and your daughter Molly to the Gold Coast for a few days?
Yeah, awesome. I don't know what to say. It amazes me. Thank you very much.
Stay informed, up to date and entertained thanks to the Western Weekender. The Western Weekender is Penrith's leading free and local newspaper, delivering the best content from on-the-ground journalists and providing businesses with direct access to potential customers. News, sport, entertainment, puzzles and so much more. The Western Weekender is the heartbeat of Penrith and it's out every Thursday. Get your free copy at selected locations in the area, home delivered, or check out westernweekender.com.au.
Boosted turbochargers from Aeroflow Performance are designed for the automotive enthusiast who wants optimal performance at a competitive price. We have a range of turbochargers in both ceramic ball bearing and 360-degree journal bearing options to suit your power goals from 200 up to 3,000 horsepower. To help turbocharge your vehicle, Aeroflow Performance also have a large range of turbocharger accessories. From steam pipe turbo manifolds, external wastegates and intake and exhaust solutions, you can have your car boosted in no time. For a full listing, check out aeroflowperformance.com.
Speed Addict Clothing Co. Fast clothes for fast people. Shop now at speedaddictco.com.
Not just ticking boxes. Not a bank.
Talk to Australia's real-life non-bank for home loans, car loans, personal loans. Pepper Money, the home of loan options.
Aeroflow Performance provides a wide range of high-quality performance products for racers, street machines and hot rodders.
Well, guys, I'm down here in the staging lanes and standing right next to this beautiful VK Commodore, tidy as. I can see why you've got a smile on your face. Running a 10-0. How did that feel behind the wheel?
It felt good, considering I just put in a new converter. Blew the last converter last meet. Yeah.
Well, it's going well for you. Knocking on the door of that second pass.
I'm trying to get there without too much modifications. I've got a Tirana coming as well, so that's going to be the faster one, I think.
Oh, that'd be awesome. What's in the Tirana?
At the moment, it's a LS blown 671 supercharged methanol. Yeah, it's going to be all right.
That sounds like fun. Are we going to see it here at Aeroflow Race for real one night?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, probably another couple of months yet.
Fantastic. Well, we can't wait to see it. Hopefully we can see tidy as into the 9s.
All right. Thanks, mate. Yeah, hopefully.
There you go, guys. 10-0 and got the NOS on tonight and running the car down to the 9s. That is fantastic. You know, that car is immaculate.
Yeah, can't wait to see it run again, Stu. We were at that ad break when we were in last time, but definitely heard it. So, yeah, can't wait to see Tidy Az go down the strip again, and can't wait for his blown methanol Tirana to grace the strip as well.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Mark Thomas's ears would be burning if he's watching the live stream. Of course, he's a big Tirana fan. Now, while we're here, we do encourage a lot of first-timers to make their way out here to Sydney Dragway. I got this young lady who's just gone down the drag strip in her Hyundai. Hey, what's your name there? What's your name there? Annabella. Welcome to Aeroflow Race for real. My name's Stewie. Hey, you got the Hyundai down there, having fun?
Yeah, of course. It's really fun. It's my first time.
Well, that's what we want to see. We want to see, number one, we want to see more first-timers, but secondly, we want to see more girls out racing.
Of course. Like, you know what, I might as well come down and have a go.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're doing it the right way, Annabelle, not doing it on the street, doing it here safely. And you've got to get a few of your friends out here, and then you can have a race off.
Of course, definitely, 100%. Next time when we come.
Fantastic. There you go, boys. Annabelle having a lot of fun in her Hyundai. A first-timer.
That's exactly what it's about, mate. Wednesday night race for real. It's about getting people out, getting people maybe outside their comfort zone a little bit and having a great time. Annabelle sounds like she's having an absolute cracker of a time tonight, so happy to have her here.
Exactly right, Pat. And then, you know, she'll go and say to her friends, I went and did this on Wednesday night. Should come next week.
Yep,
and then,
I hope so. I hope she's listening. I hope that's the plan.
Well, even better if she get a few of mates down here. Hey, look, put it this way, if she beats a few of the boys, she's got bragging rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
Now, this lady down here in the territory, I don't know whether she's going or not, but she's been running pretty consistent all night, 1570s out of the car, doing a really good job in that thing too. She's also a first-timer.
Yep, definitely. He's been out giving it a crack. Why not take advantage of the SUV theme night in that territory there? And, you know, 1570 is nothing to sneeze at for a big, heavy car. You know, the equivalent in the sedan with the same driveline is barely a second ahead, so she's doing a great job.
Big smoky burnout from the Tirana in the Aeroflow lane.
Absolutely. We'll see if they've hit the page up button a couple more times. Just cruising on into pre-stage. Bulb's about to come on.
There's one in. Tree counts down, not rushing on the reaction time this time around.
Let's take his time. Ooh, I've definitely hit the page up a couple of times on that one, I think. Bushy. Pretty wild all the way through the 60 foot and after it. So some more to work on there, but that's what Wednesday nights are about. Bit of testing and tuning.
And he still went 12:58, 90 mile an hour.
Yeah, that's yeah. There's a few people that would be jealous of that time, whether it was turn the tyres or not. Put your hand down, Bushy. You're supposed to be professional.
Well, I thought it was going to hook up there, but not so this time around.
No, that's all right. It sounded like maybe a bit of boosted assistance, the way that the car was coming up on the converter on the line there. So, yeah, definitely a bit of a balancing act when you've got that extra torque on board from whether it's a supercharger or turbocharger. Something to balance out. And, there's different ways of going about it. You can adjust maybe the RPM, the launch RPM that you're going to come off the line at. You can look at pulling some timing just after you've let off the trans brake if you've got that sort of, that ECU set up and the ability to do so. And as Stewie mentioned that they had the laptop out earlier, so I'm assuming that car does. Pull a little bit of timing out on a turbo setup. That's a good way to keep the turbo on the boil, but just dull the actual horsepower going to the rear wheels. Helps get out of the hole a little bit. So definitely a few different ways to go about it that I'm sure those guys will get their head around.
Just fractionally more complicated than carby tuning, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but in some ways it can just be easier because with a few keystrokes, you're like, I've just pulled 4 degrees of timing out of the out of the hit. Whereas, you've got to get in there and get the timing light out and adjust the dizzy or whatever it might be. Might be using an MSD box or something to adjust the timing, which is swapping a chip out. So that's super easy too. But yeah, horses for courses. All right, 15:09, 93 mile per hour for the Aeroflow lane. It's an 1840 at 79 in the Rocket lane, and we've got a pair of Falcons coming up from a couple of different eras there. Is that the vulnerable AU Falcon, Bushy? I think it might be.
It is an AU in the Aeroflow lane, and we've got an XF Falcon Ute in the Rocket lane. Don't see the Falcon Utes very often on the road, except here at Sydney Dragway.
Yeah.
Actually, I've seen more here in the last couple of weeks than I have on the actual on the road, which is good to see because they're on the inline 6-cylinder.
Yep.
Pre-Barra,
but still sharing sharing a lot of common architecture there. It's kind of the 4-litre Falcon 6-cylinder is kind of Grandpa's old axe.
Yes,
it's been around for a long time. It's going to keep working. It's hard to fault. They just sprinkled a little bit of technology on top of it in about 2002 with a twin cam head.
Yes, never really looked back from there, did we?
No, rest in peace the Aussie 6-cylinder from Ford.
Should be a pretty good race on the start line, what we've got here, Pat. A little Mini Cooper of Dave Muscat.
Oh, and
he's gone 039 red.
You've given the commentator's curse.
Did I? No, because he did it as I was talking.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that one. Yeah.
I was mid-sentence, Pat.
But the Pulsar in the Rocket lane getting away for a 1578 at 89 mile per hour versus the 1630 for Dave Muscat in the Mini. I wonder if Stewie's sorted out that dinner that he owes the gentleman in the Pulsar.
We still didn't find out why. I don't know if we want to publicly say why. But here's another Pulsar.
Yep, this is the
Aeroflow lane.
This is the one that I think was here last week as well. It's pretty spicy little N14.
Yeah, this one's got a little intercooler hanging off the front of it. Also got an Empire Racing sticker on the rear end of it. So it's obviously had a little bit of work done to it.
Yeah, it's a bit spiced up. Still figuring out the launch by the looks of things, but as far as Pulsars goes, it's definitely out there.
I mean, in the day, they were a quick car.
Yeah. Definitely. I remember being a red P-plater and coveting the Triple S that other people had. An N15 Triple S Pulsar with SR20. Look out.
What was your first car?
My first car that I drove was an EK Honda Civic, which was my mum's car.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I sort of learnt to drive in. So the EK Civic will forever hold a soft spot in my heart. Don't hold that against me, people.
No.
And then my first car that I had was actually a VL Commodore.
Right.
So 6-cylinder executive, Grandpa's car. That I, like most P-platers in VLs do, abused to no end. But it was the most reliable car I think I've had in my life. I actually had that for a couple of years, and then I sold it because I was a 19-year-old with a job that could afford a better car. So I got myself another Commodore, and I sold it to a friend of mine who drove it as a daily for about 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Then ended up buying it back from actually I think it might have been longer than that. It might have been 5 or 6 years that they had the VL. And then I actually bought it back as a daily again. And then I had my XR6 Turbo at the time.
Yes.
Which was, you know, the car that was a daily and then turned into a race car, so I needed another daily. And then ended up with the VL again. Loved it. It was like wearing an old pair of shoes.
Yes.
I sat back in that car. You know, everything was just wiggled. You know, got the groove back in it. Yeah. The non-inconsiderable groove that I leave. But you know, it was so familiar to get back in that car. There's definitely something about getting, you know, I don't know, we'll say something corny like your first love, reuniting with your first love. You know, it's your first car. You know it back to front. So, and I drove it, and I still regret not being able to hold on to it. It was a time in my life when I was much younger. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough space. So I couldn't keep it, and it had the usual VL problems. You know, rust around the windscreen and the rear windscreen and.
Yeah, I think sometimes they become a point where to hang on to them becomes so much of a hindrance.
Yeah,
you know.
It was at the point where I had to, you know, I had obviously dreams. The ideal for me was to put a 6-speed and an 6-litre LS in it.
Yes.
Nothing off its head, just a nice cruising, you know, a little cam in there. Maybe shave the heads, give it some compression. Put a T56 in it.
Casual 500 at the tyres.
No, not even. You know, I mean, just a bog stock LS in a VL compared to the RB30 would have been an absolute ripper. But you know, it wasn't to be. The money that I would have had to put into it to get it to where it would have been was, you know, just not available to me at the moment. So I had to let it go. Another young fella took over the mantle, put some P plates on the back of it, and did a single pegger burnout around the roundabout as he drove off from picking it up. So I saluted him and sent him on his way.
So he wasn't shy. He's just bought the car off you. Yep.
Definitely not. Definitely not. He was a VL owner, if ever there was one. So good on him.
Well, there you go.
There you go. What about you, Bushy? What was your
I've
first
still
car,
got my first car, Pat.
You still got it?
Yes. I tend to just buy stuff and not
never
use
part
it.
with them.
and then yeah, just I've got a Mark 1 Cortina.
Yep.
65 Ford Cortina.
There you go.
440.
Well, that's been an investment, hasn't it?
Well,
surely.
Not as good as an investment as you think it would be.
Surely that has to be worth now more than what it was when you first bought it.
Yes, but I've put a fair bit into it, and it's now the restoration is now 25 years old, so it now needs re-restoring because I drove the thing every day for 13 years.
Sure.
So from the ages of 18 through to what would that?
31.
31 there, thank you, Pat. Your maths obviously better than mine. So yeah, 31 was my everyday car.
Yeah.
So rain, hail or shine, that car got
beautiful
parked everywhere.
It's not in need of restoration, Bushy. It just has a patina.
Yes, I was just going to say, you tell me it's got patina. Yes. So we my father and I were lucky enough to have a dad that's very capable at you know, bit of everything, like not show quality stuff, but you know, we repaired all the rust and repainted the car, and I've just picked the engine up early this week.
Yep.
It did many miles reliably for me, but got to the point where it started to make sounds that weren't so good. So, yeah, got the wallet out, and basically the engine's back. I just need to finish polishing a couple of bits and pieces up, and waiting on the gearbox and diff, and then we'll go back on the road. The acrylic paint's still shiny, but under fluorescent lights, got the little bit of patina, as you say.
Yeah, bit of crazing maybe.
Yeah, so and you know, need to be realistic there of what I've got out of the car. I mean, it wants repainting, but
does it need it? Probably not.
Well, I'd like to, but I think that obviously the money to invest in that part of the project is quite substantial. So yeah, not at that point at the moment.
And you know, if it does have a bit of some bumps and scratches and dents and things here and there, you're worried less about driving down the road and getting a stone chip or.
This is true.
You know,
that worry went a long time ago.
Yeah. But you know what I mean.
Yes,
It's it's one of those things where you commit, and you invest in a full respray, and you'll be super proud to do it. But then it's in the back of your mind. Oh, don't get too close to that. This or park a kilometre away from where you need to go.
I will admit, having a normal everyday car after not driving the Cortina every day and being able to just go, well, you know what, I'm going to catch the train to go here and not worry about parking the car where I'm parking it is such a good thing.
Yeah.
But in saying that, if I had to and I was in the Cortina, that's what happened. I parked it at the train station. I went to Granville TAFE for 2.5 years, and every day the car sat in the car park. At Granville TAFE.
Yep, I'm sure plenty of people probably admired it, to be honest. 65 Cortina.
Heaps of people did, and a lot of people didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I think obviously if it was a different make of car in that area, it might have
attracted some more attention.
Attention that I might not have wanted. You know what I mean? So, and I mean the car. As I said, the car still presents well. It sits really nice. It's not a rocket ship. It gets down the quarter mile in 21 seconds. But it's all about getting out and having fun. The amount of people I've met with that car in terms of going on runs and bits and pieces. It's been really good. Who you got there, Stu?
Yeah, guys, we just had Millard go down the track in his Commodore. There are a few puffs of smoke on the gear change, and our start line crew just doing a quick precaution, just checking the track. I have just been told they're going to give the track a little bit of a rub, and then we'll be back into racing very, very soon.
No worries. Thanks for that update, Stu. And taking advantage of that, we might throw across to another ad break while the Sydney Dragway crew scrub the track, make sure everything's nice and safe for our competitors, and we will be right back at Aeroflow Race for real.
Aeroflow Performance provides a wide range of high-quality performance products for racers, street machines and hot rodders. From fittings, fuel system components, intake solutions and even turbocharger systems, you can see it all at aeroflowperformance.com.
BikeReview.com.au is Australia's leading website for performance and modified motorcycles. BikeReview.com.au is the only motorcycle-focused website to feature motorcycle drag racing on a regular basis. And in the words of editor Jeff Ware, our involvement with Sydney Dragway is our way of putting back into one of our favourite sports. BikeReview.com.au. Stay informed, up to date and entertained thanks to Para News. Para News is Parramatta and the Cumberland area's leading free and local newspaper, delivering the best content from on-the-ground journalists and providing businesses with direct access to potential customers. News, sport, entertainment, puzzles and so much more. Para News really is the heartbeat of Parramatta and Cumberland, and it's out every Tuesday. Get your free copy at selected locations in the area or check out paranews.com.au.
Bank said no to your home loan? Talk to us.
Not a bank.
Talk to Australia's real-life non-bank for home loans, car loans, personal loans. Pepper Money, the home of loan options.
Whether you're building a street machine or a race car, Aeroflow Performance has a solution for you. Our ever-increasing range features boosted turbocharger systems, Bosch Motorsport products, X-Pro electrical systems, hoses and fittings, bang shift shifters, differential parts and fabrication components. You can see it all on aeroflowperformance.com.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's,
We've also got Shannon's Home and Contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
I've chosen to use VP Racing fuels since I was a teenager racing motocross, which was 21 years ago now. I just have a really personal trust with VP Racing fuels.
Running on the ragged edge of blowing up and not, a lot of it has to do with the race fuel, and that's what we rely on, VP Racing fuels.
VP has been making racing fuel for 43 years. They're the official fuel of multiple top series globally. No matter where we are in the world, no matter what fuel we need, it's always consistent. It's always perfect and exactly what we're expecting and our tuners expecting. They support myself, my Drift Alliance bros, and for that, I'm extremely thankful. Keep making amazing fuels, and we'll keep out there having fun.
Well, welcome back to Aeroflow Race for Real from Sydney Dragway, and we're about to get back into racing. We've got this beautiful looking GTS down here. The Statesman, first timer. Gotta love a little bit of old school steel bumper. We don't have enough of them come out on a Wednesday night. But it is great to see. And of course, Tidy As just hunting for that 9-second pass. Got the radials bolted onto the rear of the car. So it has cooled down a little bit out here. There is a slight breeze. So it's going to help a lot of people out at the moment. It's interesting because about a month ago or two, we had a gentleman out here who was running a Commodore, and he had the street radials on the rear end, and he was playing around with his burnout. And that's one thing we don't really touch on too much here at Aeroflow Race for Real. But even in a street car that is capable of running low 10s to high 9s, temperature still has a little bit to do with those race radials.
You're spot on, Stu. And another 10.01 for Tidy As there. A 1.46.60. Got out of the hole well, but just knocking on the door of that 9-second mark, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think in that situation too, boys, it was a slightly shorter burnout for him as well. Didn't put as much heat into the tyre, which probably benefited it a little bit. It is fairly warm out here, so don't need to do anything too crazy in the burnout if you're looking for times, particularly if you're running radials on the rear end. I mean, any car that can get down into the low 10s is a quick car, but to get that car into the 9s, naturally aspirated, you know, there are a few things that the driver has to consider.
That's right, and it is a bit of a balancing act when it comes to getting the radial tyre right out here on a Wednesday night, Stu. So a little too much, a little too less, and not optimal. But once you get it right, wow, it's rewarding.
Strong burnout from the Commodore in the Aeroflow lane. Did notice that we had a fairly strong crosswind there before. That seems to have died down a little bit out there at the moment, but the Aeroflow lane out in front at the moment. Pat?
Yeah, I did notice the Aeroflow flags down the infield there were on a bit of a lean, but it's definitely calmed down. You know, we mentioned it, I think, last week. Bushy, Eastern Creek, you know, where we are based here, has its own weather zone. Yes. So it's known to do a few interesting things. A couple of different cars we haven't seen much of coming up to the line tonight. VF HSV, by the looks of things, in the Aeroflow lane. And is that a 180 SX down there?
I think it is.
In the Rocket lane?
That's exactly what it is.
Spot on.
Yeah, first timer as well.
Yep.
Probably one of the more cleaner examples that you will see when it comes to the 180s, because a lot of them used for drifting, and some of them do look a little bit second-hand after they've been drifting, but that one is a credit to the owner.
Yep, definitely getting harder to find as we go along, Stu. So you're right. Credit to the owner for keeping it well.
I mean, all of the 200 series, you know, 180 and the 200 series are not that commonly seen on the streets around Australia these days, and you know the 200 SX cars now fetching 50 to 60,000 without too much drama, which was more than what their original purchase price was, of course. Little RX3 out on the racetrack at the moment, trying the Aeroflow lane this time around.
Bit of a shuffle there, Bushy, on the way out.
Just lifting that left front and dancing with the centre line on the way to a 9.42, thank you, 140 mile an hour through the finish line for the little RX3.
It was definitely offered early as well, so yeah, a lot more potential to come there from the RX3. Let's not forget, if you are at the track tonight, we've got a couple of options for you know, keeping the belly full. We know it is around dinner time when Race for Real's running, so we've got gas pizzas upstairs. Troy's got the truck set up. We've got something for the sweet tooth as well. Joe's Ice Cream and Go Nuts for Donuts. The best, the best food stall title I think that we've got at Sydney Dragway.
I've walked into the commentary box and there is now a substantially less than a six-pack left on the bench.
No idea what you're talking about there, Bushy.
I haven't been guilty, but
fabrication.
I'm going to say it's been making me hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best to be good.
Not that I would know, but I believe that the donuts are on point tonight, as they always are from Go Nuts for Donuts. So definitely, if you're interested, we're going to be cycling through a few new food truck options in the coming events. So definitely something that we're looking to do here at Sydney Dragway to just improve the experience for those that are coming down and taking part here live at the track. Definitely trying to improve things as we go.
Always good to have options, Pat.
Exactly right.
Guys, got a little bit of oil, just a few drops down here on the start line. It's just come out of the Rotary. Before we send the Seven Sins Pro X Navara up against the Lydia in her Navara.
Oh, Nissan action.
Tell you what, the black one in the Aeroflow lane, very, very clean.
That is a very clean dual cab ute. It's a credit to Seven Sins guys.
Been cutting some pretty good lights too, that one. I've seen 2 or 3 of the runs and they've all had an O in front of them.
Well, you can't argue about that. I'd be happy to take that home any day of the week. And as we mentioned before, guys, it's not always about what the vehicle is that you're running. You can get out here and you can dial in your reaction time. You can get used to the way that the lights fall. And as you can see, the guys in the Aeroflow lane have nailed another 0.66 reaction time, which is on the money. 2.860 foots for both Navaras, with Lydia in the white Navara just edging out there. Through to an 18.33 at 76 miles per hour versus a 19.56 with a 6 at 69.77 miles per hour in the Rocket Lane. Looks like the Tirana is back out again.
Yeah, let's see if we can get down the racetrack this time.
Well, this should be a cracker of a run. We've got this very, very tough Tirana coming out. That Mazda guys had what looked like a marble come out of it as he left off the start line. So I'm not quite sure what that's out of. Certainly didn't slow him down, but let's see what this big Tory's got for us.
Hope it wasn't a ball bearing of some form.
Yeah.
That's what springs to mind for me.
Yeah. 151.60 from the Tirana, definitely out of the hole, a lot better than last time.
Didn't come up on the converter this time, pretty much just drove away. 9.42 with a 9, 148 mile an hour through the finish line.
When that car left the start line, boys, there looked like a little bit of a belt that had come out of that Tirana. It's only a little thin piece of rubber, but it looks like part of a belt, so they'll have to check that when it gets back.
Yeah, probably a blower belt. I dare say there is a supercharger under the bonnet of that Tirana as opposed to the turbo that we might have been thinking last time. So hopefully the guys can get their head around that, make sure it's all good to run again, because they're definitely making some strides in the right direction.
Very much so. And of course, any of those belts like that, as soon as you get a nick or a tear in them, that's it.
That's the end of it. Yep. If you're looking at blower belts in the funny cars and whatnot, there's not a lot of runs that get done on them. It's just another consumable in a very consumable engine package. Yeah, just making it rain out there with Kevlar blower belts left, right, and centre. But what they're looking at when the car makes a pass with the funny cars, they take the blower belt off, and it's very rare that you'll see a strip of that belt come off. They will generally split right the way through, but what they're inspecting is the edges of the teeth in the belt, because you can see where they start to round off a little bit.
Yep.
As the wear from the pulleys on the blower and the motor starting to wear away at the belt, and basically as soon as you see any sort of feathering on the corner of the belt, it's time to hang that up, because not to say that it couldn't do another one, but if it doesn't, and you're halfway down the track and you spit the belt, that's the end of the race for you.
You're coasting from there, and there's also potential to damage the fuel system. And
that's exactly
all that.
right.
It's
Damage
not
body work.
Yeah, or body in this case for you guys, because that belt's got to exit somewhere, and
exactly right.
It's rotating at a fair speed.
Yep, carbon fibre doesn't really enjoy being slapped by a Kevlar belt. It's not a fan of it. So we try to avoid that. Yeah, well, hey, some people pay money for lots of different things, Bushy, so let's not judge.
Sorry.
But no, I don't.
It's PG. I'll leave it there.
Yep. So yeah, it's just something that you want to stay on top of, and really it's the same as any vehicle that you're racing. In a motorsport sort of situation, you want to stay on top of the maintenance. You want to make sure that you're running your eyes over things. The guys down in the scrutineering shed are going to they're going to pop the bonnet on a Wednesday night. They're going to have a look to make sure that there's nothing obvious going on, like oil pouring out of somewhere it shouldn't, a battery that's not secured down, or
we're looking at the key things, not the intricates of every car. Otherwise, we'd be queued all night waiting for you to come out.
It would take too long, and there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't be allowed to run, I'm sure, too. There's probably a lot of things out there that, the closer you look, the worse it gets. But as a general rule, everyone that's coming down to Wednesday night race for real is on top of their car, because they're usually an enthusiast. So the car is their pride and joy. But when you start to step up the performance in your car, the maintenance schedule tends to get a little tighter as well.
Yes.
So the longevity of things are a little bit shorter. You're going to change your oil more often. You're going to inspect your belts more often. You're going to, just give it a bit of a health check. Or you should be giving your vehicle a bit more of a health check more often. Whether or not you do that yourself, or you've got a great workshop that looks after the car for you, it's definitely something to consider once you're really pushing the limits of whatever that engine package might be.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, in some cases it could be driveline as well. Like someone we know races a circuit car, and they run in a particular class, and have found that after a day's racing, you have to change the rear torsion bar bolts. Otherwise they don't make the next day.
Okay.
And that's just through trial and error, obviously. Yep. So every after a day's racing, getting thrashed around whatever circuit they're at, they jack the car up. Takes them now like 10 minutes to do it.
Yep.
Just do one side at a time, but they've realised that it has to be done. So they carry several sets of spares for that particular task. It's one of many, but and it's just a matter of getting out there and having a crack at things. And unfortunately, you might have to, I'll say, damage or break something to find that weak point.
Yep, that's right. And if you're not pushing, you don't want to sort of go, if you're not breaking parts, you're not pushing hard enough. But
no, that's certainly not.
In some cases, if you're not finding the weak link, then maybe you're not looking hard enough. If that's a better way to put it. So it's always, and that's what test and tunes are about.
100%.
We've got a test and tune coming up here this weekend. People are going to bring it might be a race car that they've campaigned before, but they've made a change to. It could be a brand new car that they're going to come out and figure everything out. They're going to dial it in and
or achieve the licensing requirements that they need to get that competition license.
Yep.
Or they might just want to come out and lay some times down and have a bit of fun in a casual situation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I'm going to look for when once my car's been teched and we go for the license, then find a test and tune or a full throttle Friday here at Sydney Dragway and get on down. It's not competition, so there's no pressure to make sure that you cut a light or get on the dial in, otherwise you don't get another turn.
Or is there, Pat? If there's commentators up here, is there pressure?
Definitely. I think I might have to wear a mask or something, or change. Maybe I'll have to wrap the car so you can't tell who it is.
No, it's all good fun. We like to congratulate people when they, if we're aware of you running a PB and or cutting a good light. It's all about recognition of that hard effort that goes into preparing a car to get it down here, and to push yourself to reach a goal, and then of course you reach the goal, and then you set yourself a new one.
Yep, that's spot on, Bushy. We're all here because we're enthusiasts, and we really like seeing people achieve what it is that they that they set out to. So, yeah, by all means, if you're you know, if you're out here, if you're a supporter of someone who's racing, that's, you know, say your mate's out here, you know, trying to run a PB, then put it on the live chat. You know, message it through the live stream and let us know, and we can keep an eye out for it. Or, you know, if you see Stewie walking around down there in the pits, you're always happy to have a chat, Stu, aren't you?
Absolutely. Speaking about having a chat, I just had a chat with Millard and his VK Commodore. Now, on his last pass, the car was running a little bit more lean, and it was actually hitting the limiter on every gear. And that's why I was smoking a little bit, but he did say he was only running on 2 fuel pumps. Apparently this time he reckons he's put a 3rd fuel pump on, and it should be running a little bit richer. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. And as he said down in the pits, boys, he's very happy not to have an LS underneath the bonnet. He's happy to have the old cast iron Holden V8.
Mate, that's the beauty of it. When it's his car, he can build it the way he wants. You know, I think unfortunately, you know, some people sort of might have a bit of an opinion about someone's car, but I always sort of look at it and I think, well, where's your car, mate? How about you just go and you build yours and I'm going to build mine. Everyone should be entitled to be able to do that themselves, because if you're building the car for everyone else, then it's probably not or may not be the right reason why you're building the car, right?
To get involved in the first place.
Yeah.
But, that XR5 away very nicely off the start line. 2:16 to the 60. Yep. Wondering if the Caprice is going to catch him. Oh, pretty close on the finish line, Pat. 0.25 of a second.
Small margin of victory there, but Stu, I think you're going to have to go down and have a chat to Eden. You got out 60-footed by an XR5 front-wheel drive.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was talking earlier in the pits because he had Millard sitting behind him. And he's saying, I put a knife to a gunfight, and he meant that in a nice way, because honestly, that VK Commodore with the side mount supercharge on it, the boys are very impressed with what he's getting out of that Holden motor. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a little bit of water that's just come out of that Ford Focus ST. So the guys just do a quick mop up, and then we'll be back to the racing, and we got Tidy Az about to come back out, hunting for that elusive 9-second pass. And I've been very impressed with this LJ Tirana with a little supercharge underneath the bonnet.
Is it supercharged as well, that Tirana?
I think it's supercharged, isn't it?
Ooh.
I thought I caught a glimpse of a slight supercharger, but anyway.
Okay.
But it has got the VN, what looked like a VN VP motor underneath the bonnet.
Yeah, spot on, Stu. I did see that earlier in the staging lanes with the bonnet up. It's certainly got a 304 injected motor in it, so great little car. It's been running mid-14s all night. And let's see if the rocket lane can't be the one for Tidy Az to get that elusive 9.
Well, Tirana is certainly no slouch either. Very, very well presented vehicle, that one. And hopefully we can see a good side-by-side pass from both cars. Well, that little bit of tyre spin out of the right rear of the Tirana probably didn't quite help him, but Tidy Az is on a pass. 10.03 with a 7. Oh, he's trying.
I think Tidy Az is going to have to enter a bracket on on the next track championships, mate. He's certainly got himself a bracket car there.
Very much so. No messing about off the start line either. It just hooks up and goes.
It's probably the one time when you really don't want to have a reliable bracket car is when you try to break into that next number. Yeah, I think that's my lad out there in the Aeroflow lane against you.
Yeah, the car does appear to be that from up here, beside the Maloo Ute in the rocket lane. 0.35 on the tree for the rocket lane. It's interesting, cleared itself at half track, this Malad's car. Runs on through for a 10.52, 125 miles an hour.
Good start time. The driver in that Maloo has been on the reaction time tonight, so a couple of O numbers starting there.
Oh, Malad just getting that car pulled up at the beach at the top end of the racetrack. just getting it pulled up.
Yeah, definitely something to consider is you've got to have the woe to offset the go when it comes to the big end, especially once you start to get some mile per hour on there. You know, it's surprising how much it changes. I remember the first time I ran, over 120 mile per hour and then 130 mile per hour, and then you started getting into the 140s and you reach for the brake pedal and you go, the end of the track is coming up a bit quicker than it used to be.
Is that the exact words? Or
there's probably a couple of extra words in there, I think. Pushy the first time.
Gosh darn it, I'm going to need bigger brakes.
Fiddle-dee-dee. That may require some brake upgrades. Spot of bother indeed, Benji. No, everything was okay. Just definitely an adjustment to be made. So, and that's to be found. Anytime you do an upgrade, you reach that new benchmark with the car. Like we said earlier about testing and tuning, you find out what the next weakest point is, or something that you've got to sharpen, and back to the workshop or the garage, as it were.
All right, another pair of tough street cars about to run down the quarter mile here at Sydney Dragway. The HZ, I think Stu said it was, in the Aeroflow lane.
Yeah, Falcon just edging its way in there.
Holding the way first with the 461. The Falcon. Driven on around. Not a bad 12:37 with a 7:1:17 through the finish line. And a 15:61 there, Pat, for the Holden in the Aeroflow lane.
Yeah, good run from both cars. One thing we should touch on as well, guys, our upcoming theme night here at Sydney Dragway's Aeroflow Race for real. We are going to have a Holden versus Ford theme night. A lot of people have been asking for it. Well, it's happening.
That's right. I think, is that the 18th of October, Stu, from memory?
Yes, that's right. Yep, 18th of October they're looking at. So put that in your diaries. If you're watching online, you could make it out here tonight. Holden versus Ford theme night.
Red versus blue. What camp do you lean towards, Stu? I know you're a Mazda man through and through, but do you have a sort of a preference when it comes to the red or blue?
You know what? I'm going to lean towards the red due to my family being primarily Holden supporters. Sorry, Steve.
Stu, I thought you were better than that.
Well, I was thinking what we need to do, I reckon we need to bring Galvo out of retirement. I reckon we've got to get Galvo out here, have all of us on. We'll have the Holden camp and the Ford camp.
Oh, could you imagine it?
Definitely there will be some... I mean, there's going to be some interesting conversations.
There'd be some hurt feelings, I reckon, by the end of the night.
But that's what it's all about. This is Australia. You're a Holden man, you're a Ford man. That's, that's the way it's been, and it will continue to be. Definitely, everyone had itchy trigger fingers on that pass. A couple of red lights from Joe and Ross.
Yeah, Joe leaving before the third amber, so a big red light there. 9:04, still didn't get his 8-second pass. 149 miles an hour.
Maybe give him a wide berth down in the pits, Stewie. That Mr. Sorbello is still not a happy man.
No, but I mean, that was a step in the right direction for him too, so...
That RX-7 singing the song of your people, Stu. The Rotary wailing away down in the burnout. Bit of an aborted run there, bit of a misshift by the sounds of things.
Not saying nothing.
It looks like he may have just missed a gear there, maybe just struggled to find the gear, as it is a manually shifted car. IHRA just said something that I probably should not repeat on the microphone. Let's just say it involves spices and chicken. See, he's a AU Falcon supporter, so, you know.
Yeah, he's very specific.
Yes.
Specific.
Yes.
Oh, that's Will down there, isn't it?
Yes, correct. So I just noticed on our live stream, welcome aboard tonight, Les Binkhurst, one of our treasured commentators here from Sydney Dragway, from Canberra. Good to see you tuning in, Les.
Welcome, Les. Thanks for joining us.
Next pair of cars racing down the quarter mile here at the moment. The Mini out in front. I'm not sure if the Falcon will get around at the top end of the racetrack, closing the gap slightly, I think, but the Mini's going to hold its own. 16.58 with an 8. 86 mile an hour through the finish line. And the Falcon in the rocket lane, a 16.84 with a 9. 89 mile an hour.
All right, another pair, almost Sydney Dragway resident, Dave Muscat in the Mini. Back out to sharpen the reaction time. In the rocket lane, we've got the venerable AU Falcon in the Aeroflow lane, taking to the staging beams. Dave still pushing on those reaction times, just scraping through a 008.
On the red side though, but he's cut his fair share of O-lights, so giving it a crack. Runs on through for a 16.13, 89 mile an hour through the finish line.
Hey Pat, this VL down here has got an interesting sticker on his rear window.
Oh yeah?
Powered by West End Performance.
Well, you know, it's going to be making some power there. Was it West End? And, you know, our namesake, Sam Fennick, and his son John, carrying on the family name and turning out some great horsepower every day of the week down there at West End. I think this this VL is pretty sporty, I think, isn't it, Stu?
Absolutely, mate. You know, our hearts are still, you know, still a bit fractured from losing the great man himself. But you know what? They're carrying on the business name and the car community and the race community. We're behind West End Performance. And, you know, for those people that have probably been through the news lately, of course, the Fabietti racing team, they will be back running in Pro Slammo and Old Betsy.
Absolutely, mate. You can't keep a good drag racer down, that's for sure.
Yeah, Ronnie Balombo behind the wheel.
You know, should be good to see the Fabietti racing team back at the racetrack, and I'm sure that they'll be well and truly welcomed by all their competitors, not only in Pro Slammer, but throughout the whole drag racing community, wherever it is that they race, because they've always been pretty popular.
Absolutely agree, Bushy.
VL just struggling for traction off the head of the throttle.
Geez, it wakes up after it gets out of that 60 foot though, doesn't it? That's,
it sure does. Just under 100 mile an hour at half track, coast to 104 with 1186 with a 5.
Yeah, I think he's maybe saving, something there, Bushy, wouldn't you say?
You think so?
Yeah, well, you know, you got to put the whole thing together. Like, I mean, you know, you don't want to come off the line, turn the tyres, and get a less than desirable 60 foot, and then you run it out the back door for maybe not what it could have been, right? So,
yes. Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the planets to align for the VL tonight.
The Capri and the Mitsubishi doing battle once again.
Scorpion not quite on the reaction time as it has been earlier in the night.
He's been somewhat consistent, but
yeah.
he was in the O lights earlier.
Yep.
But definitely carrying a little bit of performance advantage over the Capri. 16.26 with a 183 mile an hour through the finish line to a 16.82. Just under 81 for the Capri this time around.
Turbo Mustang with a bit more of a considered burnout this time round. Definitely the driver sort of dialing in, trying to feel his way around what needs to be done to get that car ready to lay down a number. Let's see if it can't improve from earlier. I think it was a 1040 from memory.
Yes, I think you're right. It was 140 something mile an hour though, so it's certainly moving at the other end. If that's the car I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, this is another car this evening. It's got the radials on the rear end of it on the Mustang. The Coyote is about to howl.
Very clean launch. 1.7, 60 foot. Not bad for a foot brake. Launch out there. Gets on through for a 10.15 with a 7 at 142 mile per hour.
Yeah, nice.
Slowly chipping away at that ET, so really well done.
Yeah, I think certainly with that, the speed at the top end, there's certainly a lot left in the 60 foot, but as you say, leaving off the foot brake.
It's difficult, yep. I mean, that mile per hour is, there's obviously a lot of different ways to go about, your race car, lightweight or, heavyweight or whatever, but definitely that mile per hour is a low 9-second mile per hour. Yes. So definitely as the owner and the workshop get their head around that package, for sure, more to come. We'll bump through, unfortunately, on the brakes for the Aeroflow lane, the Commodore there, red lighting. Rocket lane off for 1265 at 116 to a 14750 at 111 for Aeroflow lane, Commodore.
All right, Lydia about to come back out in the Navara, getting plenty of practice before she gets into her RX-7 for licensing this weekend. And this young driver in the Mini, in the Cooper S, having a bit of fun. Actually, it was good to see a couple of Minis down on track. Dave Muscat in with a fair fight.
We've got two of the the newer generation ones here this week. We had, I think, 3 or 4 of the originals. Yeah. The godfathers of the Minis here the other week.
Yeah, that's right. There was a couple of spots where there was one with the VTEC engine, the Honda engine on board, which was a bit of a surprise package. But yeah, definitely some of the classics.
Can be surprising what's been fitted into a Mini when you think about it. I've seen a couple of videos of a company in the UK that's done an all-wheel drive conversion.
Oh, with a Subaru engine?
No, it wasn't a Subaru. I think it was a Honda or something
like
that.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Rocket ship, absolute rocket ship.
Unreal.
But yeah, certainly not one you'd want to pick a race with.
Now I'm trying to rack my brain, fellas, and I don't think I've seen a Mitsubishi Scorpion for at least 20 years on the. And to see this one out here racing at Race for Real, this one must be one of the last surviving Scorpions in Sydney, I reckon.
I think you're spot on, Stu. When I got here tonight, the two cars, the Scorpion and the Capri, were already in the lanes, and I was sort of walking past, and I went, "Is that what I think it is?" It's sort of 2-door Sigma, the Scorpion. It's I'm with you, mate. I don't think I've seen one for a good 20 years either. So. Yeah, definitely something that, if you grew up in the 80s or the 90s, you might have seen a few around. There was definitely a bit of a trend to swap a Holden motor or a Chev or something like that, V8 into them.
There has been a few built into drag cars.
Yep.
In the past. Don't ask me who and
Chris Diggles' brother.
Diggles.
Really?
Does Diggle's brother, was that a Scorpion, the silver car that he used to race?
Not to my knowledge, Stu, but I don't. I'm not 100% sure.
I will have to check. I'll have to ask him because I know that his brother used to race a car very similar shape to that.
Yeah, okay. It's got a bit of a Vega sort of feel to it, doesn't it? Like that shape, like a Chevy Vega.
Or kind of a, don't hate me for this, like a DeLorean.
A DeLorean sort of vibe, you reckon?
Yeah, just shape-wise. If you take the stainless steel out of it, like if you painted the DeLorean,
if it's not a time machine.
Yeah, and it doesn't have the flux capacitor. But no, like I think certain aspects of DeLorean.
Yeah.
Just saying, my opinion.
Well, it's hard to compare it because there's just not enough of them around that you don't see them often enough. So yeah. But the owner is out here enjoying it. That's the important bit. Speaking of the owner enjoying the car, this LJ has done a few laps. I know we've mentioned it a few times, but if you get the opportunity to see it up close, it is a very tidy car that has just been coming around for lap after lap.
62 on the tree for the Falcon Ute. Sound like one of the drivers missed a gear there. Guessing the Falcon.
I think so. The Falcon is having a leisurely pass out there.
And the Tirana 14 at 67. 93 mile an hour through the finish line.
VX with a stout burnout. A couple of limiter tags there, just getting some heat into the tyres. I'm sure the driver's looking to recover from that red light last time out. Definitely no concern on that.
Yeah, so don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night we got the roll drags, and we will be live streaming that event as well. Tomorrow night we've got some tough vehicles on their way out tomorrow night. But then next week, of course, we've got Aeroflow Race for real back again on Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, if you love burnouts as much as I do, it's Tire Thrashing Thursday. It's going to be a huge night of smoke. Hopefully no carnage, but it is burnouts, so you never know. But I am pumped for tomorrow night for the roll drags. I reckon I should have brought the pocket rocket out and had a go, I reckon that would have been fun.
There's still time, Stu. There's still time.
I mean, look, my car's not as quick as a A-class junior dragster over the 8th mile, but, you know, it's still be a little bit of fun, I reckon.
You get a few qualifying runs in, I dare say. Although you wouldn't want to come up against your mate Anthony and his 2,500 horsepower Skyline.
Absolutely not.
That might not work out so good for you, but you know,
well,
pick your battles, Stu. Pick your battles.
You know the bonus of being in a slow car in the other lane though, when you've got a fast car next to you, it's about as close as you can get to see that car perform. So at least you're getting, if you're getting the prime position to see it scream off down the track, then you've got to take the positives, right?
Actually, I can add a little bit to that. Across the road. So it was before we had Sydney Dragway.
Yep.
I took the Cortina with my brother and did a street meet. And one of the, I think the first run that I did was against Vince Rigoli in the Black Dado Ute.
Yeah, okay.
I whole shot him. I was in front for like a 10th of a second, and that was it.
Bush's claim to fame.
Yeah, my claim to fame, mate. I've still got his race number and my T number or whatever it was back then. But yes, it's it's surprising how fast it actually looks when you're right next to it. And just watch it drive away from you.
It's a real eye opener, to watch it from the outside, from the stands. You go, wow, that looks pretty quick. But when you're in, if you're in a car that you feel is a fast car, and that's perfectly fine, whatever it is. If you feel it's a fast car, and then you come up next to something that has 3 or 4 times the horsepower that you have, it's an eye opener. That's I think everyone's got a similar story from the first time you come to the track. I remember I came to the first time. in my Falcon, and you know, I thought it was a pretty fast street car. And I pulled up next to an RX-3 that had a 13B turbo in it, and I think it ran like an 870.
Yes.
You know, and I was rowing gears trying to run a 12, and the thing just walked out of my life. You know, like, and it was yeah, it was very humbling. So definitely not a bad thing to watch it from the front row seats, as it were.
No, but when we got the twin turbo Lamborghini coming out from Precision Racing tomorrow night. Now, I'm really hoping that Johnny Habib is going to bring the OG of Pro Street out. His beautiful Tirana. Of course, he's used to racing the roll drags or the roll racing over the road. But, hey, he's no stranger to this style of track either. So
no, not at all. That Tirana's not a stranger to getting the wheels up either, is it, Stu?
And I always like catching up with Johnny. Caught up with him at World Time Attack, as I did with a few of the guys that were running in the Flying 500. So hopefully next week, tomorrow night, we're going to have a fair few people out here, and it's going to be mental.
Spot on, Stu. We can't wait for roll drags. We'll the three of us will be out here on the mic tomorrow night as well, commenting with roll drags.
Yes, well, you have to be pretty quick because we're not going to have that luxury of them stopping in front of
Yeah,
us to work out what they are.
We're going to have to be on our game. The drivers are going to have to be on their game, and us commentators are going to be having a bit of a time. So the turnaround rate is quite quick when it comes to roll drags. So that's you know, it's an exciting prospect for us here at Sydney Dragway. So please, by all means, if you've got a car that you want to come out and give it a go, jump online, get that discounted online entry. You can buy a ticket at the gate. It's slightly more, but you can jump online. You can get your spectator entry. You can get your competitor entry. Come on down, give it a go. It's going to be it's definitely going to be a night, and something that we're looking forward to pushing to developing as we go through.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we've been trying to get it sorted in the background, I guess you could say, for quite some time now, and of course we feel ready that we've got a product that we can at least do the FT with, as you say, the first time.
Do the first timer.
To steal your line from earlier, and hopefully it can be something that we can build a bit of our own brand on, and you know, bring a little bit of a different aspect of racing to people that want to compete, and to the people that want to spectate as well.
And you know, I don't want to talk out of term here, because obviously there's a lot more to go on in the background when it comes to, you know, safety and categories and classes and things like that. But the great thing about the roll drags, or the potential for roll drags here at Sydney Dragway, is that, you know, we have the safety aspect, we've got the sanctioning bodies. So maybe if the things are hit, we can look at adding perhaps a pro class.
Yes.
You know, something where you've got, you know, purpose-built roll racing cars that can come out and run, you know, maybe a longer, you know, racing section, perhaps, you know, a faster mile per hour, you know, or a quicker time, and we'll be able to develop that over time, because we have this A-grade facility with the sanctioning body and all of that experience that comes with it. So, really looking forward to kick things off tomorrow night for the first one, and just keep on rolling through from there.
Now, unfortunately, guys, we had a little bit of sad news through the burnout fraternity during the week. Unfortunately, Mick Brusher in New Legal had a bit of an issue with the Corolla.
Yep, did see a couple of shots of that.
Yeah, the throttle's stuck open, which is not something you hear every day, especially in the burnout world. But hey, it just goes to show things can happen. But our thoughts go out to Mick, and hopefully they can get the car repaired, or if he's got another shell, hopefully we can see him back very, very soon.
Absolutely, an absolute personality of the burnout scene. Wouldn't be Aussie Burnouts without Mick and New Legal. So glad everyone's safe, and obviously there's another vehicle involved, and everyone was perfectly fine. Both drivers, I believe, have come out and, you know, sort of made a short statement. Everything's okay. You know, motorsport, things happen, but the number one thing is that cars can be replaced. People not so much. So everyone's safe, and I'm sure Mick will be out thrashing and and, you know, turn the tyres in no time.
So what's your tip for roll drags, boys? You reckon the Mazda's going to win it? We've got some tough rotaries that are capable of running some quick times over the quarter,
I'm going to go,
let alone over the 8th mile.
I'm going to go way out on a limb and say I think it'll be a Skyline, Stu.
You reckon it'll be a Skyline?
Yep.
Will it be a Skyline or will it be a GDR?
Oh, come on.
It's two different things.
Or a GTST, yes.
Yeah. There's multiple different things. You've got to remember, R35s, they're not Skylines. They're only GTRs.
It's actually funny you say that, Pat, because, I remember the old videos of Keir Wilson when he first got his R35 running, and that thing was an animal. So, and it was more street-based.
Yeah, there's definitely, you'd be silly to say Skyline / GDR / Nissan R chassis is not going to be up there in the running.
That's why I said it.
That's a given. You're covering all the bases there, Bushy. I think obviously we've got twin turbo Lambo action that's going to turn up and give everyone a bit of a shake up. It's got some extra cubes compared to the Skylines. But Stu, to your point, we definitely do have some killer rotary sort of based combinations. So some RX3s and RX2s and all sorts of things that will come out with a big tyre on the back of it. And this prep surface that we've got, this great surface that we've got here at Sydney Dragway, is going to give them the opportunity. Whereas, maybe at some other events that they've had a go at, being a rear-wheel drive, being that they're quite aggressive, quite light vehicles, traction is always the real tricky point there. So this might be a bit of a leveler here at Sydney Dragway.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you here, Todd.
All right, it's tough Tirana. Let's see what they've got for us. Had a bit of a cool down.
Whoa. Bit of a cool down and a bit of a page up maybe on on the gear change there. Turn the tyres for Tirana. Pretty wild. Still rolls through for a 1039 with a 144.9 miles per hour with the Pulsar doing 16:39.87. And Benji just pointed out, you can see Todd O'Leary commenting on the live stream there on YouTube that he has entered. Todd's got a beautifully presented Mustang. I believe that you might be bringing out. I hope it's a Mustang. I think he's also picked up a Nissan Z, the newer Fairlady that's recently come out. But
well, his little emoji thing.
His emoji is the I think 1320 GT is his plates. Put together and tuned by Northmead Automotive, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a pretty spicy unit. I can't be 100% confident, but I've got a feeling it might be pushing towards the 8-second mark in the quarter. That Mustang, so definitely a rear-wheel drive that's going to keep it on board. But
no, he's in the Nissan.
He is in the Nissan. There you go. So looks like the Mustang's got the night off, but it's going to bring this, and that's going to be interesting because there's not a lot of those Nissan Zs out on the street here in Sydney. So it'll be interesting to see what it's got with the new twin turbo. It's sort of a mini detuned GTR engine in that Z. So it will be great to see.
Interesting to see how that compares against the other cars that run up against it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a brand new vehicle off the showroom floor, it's gonna be interesting to see how the factory performance stacks up, and then I've got a feeling that Todd's probably got some plans for it.
Yes.
As well.
Well, if he's got an 8-second Mustang sitting in the shed, there's a good chance he doesn't mind tinkering.
It's pretty hard to keep the fingers away from the clicking the order button on the parts.
on the Aeroflow website.
Yeah.
Aeroflow.
Couple of boosted turbos.
Yeah.
Do an upgrade. No worries.
Won't be long until you guys have a package for that, I'm sure.
We'll try. There's so many out there, so many numbers we keep adding, I mean, the things, we've just gone past 12,000 part numbers. there's so many more to add. It's incredible.
Good news, guys. The Tirana is going to come back out for another run. We've also got the Scorpion coming back out and a Ford Capri. The 180 SX is lining up out the back as well.
It's great, Stu. We're going to get a few more cars through this evening.
All right, both races been. I don't know what the score is, but I think the Mitsubishi's taken the win on more than its fair share of occasions. Let's see if the Capri can bring one up. Oh, 061 on the Capri.
Got the reaction time.
He's got a 10th, but I don't think there's going to be enough, Pat.
No, I think the Sporty Scorpion is going to bring it home there. But at least when the fellas catch up after the meeting, they've got a bit of banter either way.
Yeah, good, clean fun. It's all about. And the Scorpion whips that tail one more time. All right, the 180 SX out for another run.
Just overstep the staging beams, which is an easy thing to do, especially if you're a first timer. You know, we do leave the little witches' hats that you may or may not be able to see if you're watching from home, right next to where the staging beams start, just as a little bit of a guide for first timers and those that aren't quite as used to taking the beams. We'll just creep forward, you know, bring the pre-stage light on. As you can see there, into full stage now, and as you've accepted the light and you're willing to make a pass, as they do, 2.460. For a 9.19 at the 8th, and across the line at a 13.77 at 109 mile per hour for that tidy little 180 SX.
Yeah, good speed for the ET. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, being a manually shifted car as well, it's, you know, it's where it should be. Definitely, you know, a few mods I think on board on that 180. I don't believe a stock CA18 was around a 13.7.
Well, it's got a hard-tuned sticker on the side of it, so I don't know if that's to do with a workshop.
20 horsepower at least, I think, with a hard-tuned sticker, isn't it, Stu?
Probably is.
I think
we do have the Tirana coming back out, boys. They're just having a little fiddle with it.
Stu, you were over at World Time Attack the other week. I think, didn't Hardtune unveil a GTR, 35 GTR that had a twin-turbo Viper motor in it?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact.
Did you see that thing up close?
Annabella coming back out in the Veloster. Yeah, they did. It was interesting, Pat. I don't generally stop dead in my tracks, but when I walked past that car on the Friday, I just stopped and went, what is that? And then, yeah, turns out it's exactly what it was. It had the Viper motor in it. Be interested to see that car on track in the future.
He's got a lot of potential for a lot of horsepower. I'm not sure if they were building it as a drift car or just a let's try and break the internet sort of deal.
I think it's a drift car.
What is it, drift car? Okay.
I think that's what I read on Facebook. They were building it for drifting, but yeah.
Because I mean, obviously that engine would be a lot heavier than the Skyline or Nissan motor that they pulled out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would have to say so, right? I'm not all the way around the Viper V10, but I can't imagine that it would be any lighter than a VR38 that came in that car. I don't know if they're an iron block or an alloy block, the Viper motors.
I think they're alloy. I think. Yeah. Yeah. Well, a friend of my father's and mine, he had the Dodge Ram version in a hot rod that didn't get finished, but I think he said from memory, and I'm talking many, many years ago, I'm pretty sure he weighed the engine was over 600 kilos just in the motor.
That's the definition of a lead-tipped arrow. I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we were talking about upgrading the front end and the hot rod that he was putting it in because of the sheer weight. But then on top of that, you go and put a 1471 or whatever he was going to run on it.
Because why not?
Because why not?
Yeah.
He's got an extra, he's extra cylinder that he's got engine-wise that he could put a big blower on. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Definitely not mad at it.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the figure that was mentioned just for the weight of the motor. So,
all right, the guys back out with the Red Tirana. Nice, nice healthy burnout there. So let's see if they can't tame the power and get this thing down for a PB. Still bombing tyres there on the gear shift for the Tirana, and wisely backed off rather than try to drive through the wheel spin there. It's not always the way to go if the vehicle, generally in my experience, if the vehicle still has quite a low road speed, so you're not actually moving that fast down the track, and you've got a lot of wheel speed on board from wheel spin, it's usually going to end up pretty messy with a handful of opposite lock and definitely going to point the direction that you don't want to. So
because you don't have the momentum, I'm guessing.
Yep. The classic catchphrase, spinning ain't winning, and it's not worth driving all the way through it.
No, there is a fair bit of tyre shake down here too, or not tyre shake, but with the wheel spin, you can see the wheel track down here plainly where it's started to let go just before 60 foot.
No worries. Appreciate that, Stu. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that is the end of running tonight. We want to thank everyone for coming to the track live and tuning in on the live stream on YouTube. This has been Aeroflow Race for Real SUV theme night here at Sydney Dragway. Just another reminder, please tune in or get on down to the track for a run at the Roll Drags event tomorrow night. Bushy will be here commentating.
Yep, kicking off from the first runs will be 6 o'clock through till around about 10. I think the event's scheduled to complete.
Yep.
So we look forward to seeing everybody here, as you say, either at the venue or feel free to join us on the live stream. And yeah, looking forward to some exciting action, some fast cars and a bit of fun.
Absolutely, something new. So can't wait to see you here. Let's all tune in tomorrow night, Thursday, for Roll Drags.
All right. Good night, everybody. Be safe on the roads.